subscriptions.
What subscriptions?
My subscriptions. My subscriptions.
Let's just make sure that we're
There
live.
once was a man. The name of the man was a Philly.
We're doing this badly. This is bad. That was, I mean, we didn't know nearly enough of the lyrics to do that.
Shut up in your face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, on my phone, the camera quality looks good. That tells me that it's once again fucking Discord.
Yeah, because on my end it looks good for me. So, and you said it looked blurry over there, so it's clearly something.
It doesn't anymore. It's fixed it because there's a button that says focus, so I hit it and it focused it.
Something went screwy. Is the point?
So I'm guessing Discord has some sort of camera system, focusing system. Anyway, need my phone, need my timer.
You know what's funny is, I can tell that I have a different, like the light from the light bulb is a different color on me, and yet I think it looks better.
It does. It's making the lighting look way crisper on camera.
Because it's softer. It's not nearly as jarring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lighting makes a difference, man, and it's the one thing I am no good at. Justin is funny is no good at lighting.
I can tell that I have a different, like the light from the light bulb is a different color on me, and yet I think it looks better.
It does. It's making the lighting look way crisper.
Good. You can hear you.
Sweet.
Okay.
We're gonna just turn this down just like a little bitty bit because last week.
No, we actually sounded like we were the same volume for once.
Yeah, but it made it sound really.
Usually I'm way louder than you, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, but it made me sound really blown out when I was editing videos. It was really fuzzy sounding, which tells me that I had it too high. Anyway, in 3, 2, 1. It's the YouTube preamble, everybody, where we take forever to start the show. 3, 2, 1. Nope. 3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see all kinds of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, we can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to artemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. Nailed it, Jordan. Nailed it first go. So as far as the Spotify and YouTube music audience knows, nail it 100% of the time, every time.
Ba-da-da-da.
Banana. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. As always, I am your host. I am Justin Spurr. I am joined today, as always, as I am always joined, as I am often joined, as I am consistently joined. It's my co-host, it's the incomparable Jordan, everybody, and he will always be the only incomparable one. The only one.
I'm the only incomparable one that is here in this universe.
That you know of. Wiki face. On today's show, I thought we'd start the show off before we dive into the news. We got a shit ton of comments, so I thought we'd do a comment response time as I break down some of my favorites from some of our videos. From the Mr. Rogers video to
we're gonna keep it polite, of course.
To the King of the Hill video to the Doctor Who video. We got some fun comments I'd like to respond to with Jordan here and not just by myself in text. And then the news. As always, we got the news. In today's news, we're gonna talk about Spider-Man 4 Brand New Day news. The guy who's making the Five Nights at Freddy's movie says this one's gonna actually be scary. Freaky Friday trailer. Who Bought Saw? Wicked 4 Good trailer. And more than that. And then later, we're going to ask the question, do you remember these Disney Channel original movies? And are these good movies? Or are they bad because they're Disney Channel original movies? So many things and more. Hang out for the next few hours with us while we dive in. Let's start with some comment response time, Jordan. we're gonna do this a video at a time.
Dun dun dun.
Beginning with our video, Mr. Rogers was not a saint. There really isn't a good place to read YouTube comments. One of my personal favorites was, I'm not going to read names. If you want to see who these comments are from, you can go read the comments. Go watch the video and see the comments there. You can see who they are. Go to their YouTube channels. Don't harass people, please, on our behalf. It's not cool. But one of my personal favorites was Mr. Rogers pushed a lot of dangerous propaganda that harmed generations of children. My response to that is, what, being nice to your neighbor and being a good person is dangerous propaganda?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe he did off screen, but the Mr. Rogers that I remember on screen was pretty, like, when it comes to. I'm just gonna say, when it comes to religion, he was pretty religion neutral in the show, anyway.
Right.
And his message was really just about being a good person, kind to your neighbors.
Right. And so their response was that he could list dozens of examples, but the one that they chose to list was that he pushed vaccinations. To what I respond, oh, you're one of those people. Yay.
I mean, okay, yeah, I'm just not even. If you are an anti-vax person, I'm not engaging with you.
See, my favorite podcast, The Weekly Planet, they call this segment Hate Mail. But the eight is spelled with an 8. I don't have a name for this yet.
Okay.
But that was my way of being like, I don't have a name for the segment yet.
Here's the name for the segment: Rage Bait.
Rage Bait. So one person left a comment that said that it was a nice 16-minute view on how to not make content, or how we don't know how to make content yet. We couldn't even focus on the point. We both suck at making YouTube videos. Learn how to not suck talking to a camera, and stop talking shit on other people's content. To which I respond, how do you get better at talking to a camera without sucking at talking at a camera?
To which I respond,
Bite me?
No.
Also, I don't talk to the camera. I talk to Jordan. So the camera,
I mean, yeah,
is there. It's like up there, and Jordan is right there. So I talk to Jordan. Or if Jake is on, I talk to Jake. Or if Haley's on, I talk to Haley. I don't talk to the camera. Sorry, guys.
For me, it's even more. It's even more like you are the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the camera is a tiny little pinprick off to the side, right, that I'm pointing at right now. But I'm on my phone, so, like, I'm just looking at my phone, and you're on my phone. So I'm literally just talking to you.
So, okay, I will bring up a positive comment. There's a bunch of, someone called us neckbeards based on our opinions on Christianity, which I felt we were really fair-minded to Christianity in that video, but that's neither here nor there. One of my personal favorites, and this one I will shout out their name because it's a nice comment. It was a host_theghost507. He says, thank you for this read on Mr. Rogers. You nailed it. Tom Hanks makes the same mistakes that so many impressionists do of playing Fred Rogers as sweet and soft. I met him as a student at Carnegie Mellon, and sweet doesn't figure into it. He really saw you. That can feel unnerving for people who aren't ready to be as completely open as he was. I sometimes think that people play up the soft and gentle angle because it's easier than dealing with how he's able to look past whatever pose or defense you're putting up. My read on Fred Rogers wasn't that he was namby-pamby, is that he was fierce in protecting children, and that he really cared about people as individuals. He had to contend with his anger like the rest of us, and he could be cynical and depressed, but he never gave up on people, and that took a lot of courage. And he said, I really appreciate how you got past the surface of the movie and dealt with the real Fred Rogers, which, thank you, I tried my best. And yes, I completely agree. I think you can be nice and still be a fully three-dimensional person. I think everyone tends to see Mr. Rogers as like a caricature. Almost.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, because of his time on PBS, he definitely kind of more became known as Mr. Rogers, the PBS character,
right?
And less as Mr. Rogers, the thinking, feeling human being, who of course had his moments where, like, you can't be on all the time.
Exactly.
Even if you're the most on person on the planet, you can't be on all the time.
And his off might be 1,000 times nicer than your off, but he still has an off.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, we got another comment, which was who said that he was a saint. He just said what kids needed to hear. Lots of people did. Lots of people thought he was a saint. that he was essentially, I mean, and he is kind of in a sense that he is the truest teacher of the actual legit followings of Jesus. And so in that regard, I suppose he's a saint. But there was another really long comment, which I won't read, which basically was like, saints are fairy tales. They don't actually exist, which is true.
I mean, okay, yeah, like I said, even the best person, the most holy, the Pope even, is still human. And what is that famous line from religion? To err is human.
Exactly. I'm gonna have to ask. So on our video, Grave of the Fireflies is a moving and beautiful piece of cinema that I will never watch again. I think Hakime over 9,000. I'm gonna check with Jake. I'm pretty sure that's Jake's co-host on Down the Middle. But they left a comment that said, "This is my top 5 greatest movies ever made, but I would never watch it again. Even though I would like everyone to watch it in a room alone. If you can." It can put you in a bad headspace, and if you're really on the edge, this movie can push you over it. And then they recommended Metropolis 2001. That's another one that's amazing. We'll keep that in mind for the future.
Interesting. But Again and Forever says the coolest Canadian brothers in the world.
I mean, Again and Forever is the coolest Mexican rock star metal that we know. Currently, hey, since he's here, I'll throw the link in the description after we're done here. But you can go vote for them. Their music video of Chop Suey is out currently, and they're in competition to go perform. Jordan, do you remember where he said they were performing?
Oh, not off the top of my head.
No, it's not coming to me off the top of my head.
I want to say it was Rolling Stone.
Yeah, they get to do a big concert. I voted a bunch. I've already voted a bunch.
I voted a bunch as well.
But I really quite like their cover of Chop Suey. I think I might like it more than the original, but I don't like really screamy. But it's really good. It's a really good music video. You can go check that out. Yeah, I'll throw it in the description after we're done. I enjoy.
Very nice.
I enjoy how he calls us the Spurr brothers. It makes me it tickles me every time. Anyway, the other comment on our Grave of the Fireflies video is that this person would recommend it to those who need a tear and don't have any.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It's rough.
That's an up. So it's a rough go.
Next
beautiful
video.
movie.
Beautiful
go.
movie. So on our video, somebody please explain Beavis and Butthead to me. We got a number of comments.
Did someone in fact explain Beavis and Butthead to you?
They definitely attempted to. Us. They definitely attempted to. I would say what they said it doesn't make any sense based upon what I watched. But okay, so one comment read that the show is mainly a commentary on current events / social trends / culture. It's satire. They're supposed to be dumb and somewhat representative of your average local dumbass. And you get a mixed mash of other archetypes with the town folks. The power dynamic argument is irrelevant. I get the laughs annoying, but again, they aren't cool / good guys. They stumble through life. Yeah, but no. That's not how the show reads. At least that's not how the show plays out. These guys are like they're not supposed to be cool or good, but they have no self-awareness enough to learn a lesson. They're just dumb, and most of the show is just the reactions to the music video. So it's not really, and what most of their reaction isn't. It just kind of seems like that Mike Judge just watched the music video and did the voices. Like, it doesn't really seem to be all that biting of commentary, and the actual episode parts don't really have any resolution, like I said in that video. And then another attempt to explain.
Justin, it was a different time. It was a romp, Justin.
And this I do believe. But one comment said that if you grew up in the 80s, you get the show because they all knew kids who acted like that. And they would
believe.
They also cut to the music videos where they gave reactions, paved the way for reaction videos before YouTube. That I will say is true. Like, that absolutely. They predate any reaction channel on YouTube. Like, they conceivably it came up with the concept. What they were saying was not insightful or interesting or worth watching, in my opinion, but they definitely started the trend. I will not take that away from them.
To be fair, Justin, we didn't say explain why you like Beavis and Butthead. We just said explain it to us. So that is an explanation. They've given you an explanation.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't. I guess I've never gotten it. I've never gotten it. I don't think I ever will. It's very interesting because even when I was like 12 or 11 or 13, like I was like, I hate these characters. They're juvenile for me. And also because I think I got called a butthead a lot. It just was one of those things where it wasn't an endearing name. Yeah,
No.
I don't. I will say I've seen clips of the new season and of the new season I was telling you about. Further clips of it because obviously it's in my algorithm now, and it looks like the smart Beavis and Butthead come back, and they occasionally do episodes with in the movie you see the true future version of Beavis and Butthead, which is they're just regular guys who work and go and like they hang out, and so you see episodes with them, and they now have kids. and the kids all beat each other up and are friends and whatever. Yeah, like that's kind of neat. That is kind of neat that they expanded upon those ideas from that movie. And also, yeah, I didn't completely hate that movie. So on our Doctor Who video, what on earth is happening on Doctor? Huh? Oh, I get it. Sorry, the new comment I didn't see. Someone just said all part of the.
This was a live reaction for you, YouTube. You just saw his actual legitimate reaction to this comment.
Yeah, which is just all part of the Doctor incest plan, like Loki.
What?
So the Doctor can kiss himself, like on Loki.
Oh. Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, a lot of like, oh yeah, what's happening? DEI. This is a desperate ploy to get people to watch the show again. It's all about nostalgia, whatever. But the one I will say that I did have a conversation with in the chat. Oh wow, this is really.
I saw one person. All right, I don't remember where I saw it exactly, but I saw one take that part of what made Cutie Nudie Goody. I can never pronounce his name right. Gatwa. What made his doctor less good than previous doctors is that he didn't have his own outfit.
Yeah.
Like every episode he was in a different outfit, and that made him less identifiable.
I don't disagree, but also like his whole bit was that he. It's reductive, but he's the gay one. He's fashionable. Fluid. Yeah.
Well, I was more going to say in a more tactful way that he's the fluid one who constantly changes.
Yeah, which they didn't lean hard enough into for them. I mean, the closest they got is in the last episode where he's arbitrarily wearing a dress because he's
not arbitrarily wearing a dress. He's wearing a dress to try and basically stress, because from what I recall, in one of the previous parts, there's a thing which is I'm staying vague, but there's a thing which is causing bad things to happen, and so in order to basically push people out of their preconceived notions of what reality should be, he puts on the dress.
Sure, but I mean, functionally, it's because he's regenerating into Billy Piper, and that way she's now wearing a dress.
Yes, if you want to look at the meta reason, yes, absolutely. But I'm just saying, in terms of the story itself, there is a reason.
I'm reading.
I think.
Yeah, basically the general consensus is, sorry, she hasn't been credited as the Doctor on screen or referred to as such by anyone connected with the show. It's a cynical bit of fan service, like the offer of oral sex by someone who knows you plan to break up with them. That's funny. But basically, it's a desperate ploy to get people to come back to the show, which I don't get why, because the people who they're trying to get back will automatically on face hate the fact that it's a woman. So,
I mean, but it's not an inaccurate statement. That is.
No, for sure it is. For sure it is.
What they're doing.
I mean, I guarantee you, she's not the Doctor, and it's a fake out. Well, I saw a lot of people say they hope it's a fake out, and it turns out that Judy didn't actually regenerate, and this is just an excuse to give him a break so he can go film shit. But like that's kind of plagued his entire run. So if they have to write reasons for him to be away, then yeah, you might as well like regenerate.
Well,
him.
yeah, I mean, I said that like a while ago in one of the previous seasons where there's only 8 episodes and he's not in enough of them.
No.
And so like I said pretty much right from the beginning of his tenure as the Doctor, if he can't commit to the show, he shouldn't be on the show. And clearly, finally, some executive at Disney finally agreed. And because from what I the question,
It came from
isn't it?
him. He didn't want to. Well,
That's the question, isn't it? Because I've heard rumors that he got forced out.
Oh no, so that's not that. What? Okay. Apparently, what happened was he chose to left. He chose to leave because what was going to happen with the show was up in the air as to what was going to happen, whether it was going to get canceled or not get canceled, and he chose to leave last minute because he didn't want to wait around to do this, and he had other options, and you could tell that he chose to leave last minute because allegedly they reshot the ending, and you can tell. I haven't seen it, so I cannot confirm, but
it would kind of also, in a meta sense, fit because, again, I maintain all the other doctors were generated under duress, which the actors had to leave, and this time he chose to leave, and so they wrote it in such a way that the doctor chose to leave.
Yeah, and apparently that all those changes were very last minute, like all of it. That's why it all seems really rushed, like 2 seasons worth of. Apparently he was supposed to stay on for one more season, supposedly, but he chose not to. At like the last second, which look, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't have minded. I'm kind of in a position that I don't really care. He wasn't around long enough or in enough episodes for me to form a deep connection with him. But by that same token, he wasn't around around enough or in enough episodes for me to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm tired of him and I'd like to see someone new.
I would have liked to see one more season. Like Peter
I
Capaldi.
wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded if he had stayed for another season, but he also wasn't around enough for me to care that he's not.
No, they didn't have enough episodes with him. That's where people are like, oh, he did 2 seasons. That's one more than Christopher. I think he's still longer than Christopher Eccleston, but it's not. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. Anyway, my final.
Partier Broadway World podcast says, "I'm here. I've arrived. Finally. Have I missed the Wicked trailer reaction?"
Not yet. I have thoughts about it, though. We're going to get there. We'll do that one first.
Did you send that one to me?
I did send it to you, yeah.
I don't remember you sending that one to me. I don't think I watched that one. I might have to do that live on the air.
I mean, all right. I mean, we could pull it up and watch it together.
We could do that.
I mean, I'm sure I'll get copyright struck to hell, but we can certainly try.
I mean, I was just gonna pull it up on my tablet and have it like where I do it that way. But sure, if you want to do a double reaction to it, we could do that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how she goes. Finally, in our series
comment
response time, it's the
rage bait
a rage bait segment. It's our King of the Hill video, which was titled "King of the Hill is a conservative show, and that's fine." And it has been. I think this might be more wild than the Andor comment section, only because it's been fascinating. Because both sides got upset by that characterization. Like all the liberals who grew up loving that show and finding that show funny, they associate the word conservative with MAGA or Republican. Right? And I never said he was MAGA, and I never said it was a right-leaning show or a right-wing show. I said it was a conservative show. And that's because Hank is a conservative. Hank Hill is a conservative man.
To be fair, and this was something that I was thinking about, I think part of why we see him as a conservative who might have voted liberal or independent or what have you is because of I don't want to say exactly who, but you know who, and who we grew up with. Because I always saw Hank as him.
Yeah.
Like they're similar. And he was conservative, but he was I'm pretty sure anyway, he usually voted liberal. And I
would argue he was conservative.
But not everybody.
Well, no, it's culturally and intrinsically. The idea of Republicans aren't conservative, and that idea, they've become so intrinsically MAGA and Donald Trump, and that they're so ashamed of that association that even the implication that they might be that offends them. And then, so the other category of comment that we got on that video, hold on.
Because I did peruse some of those comments, and I agree with I kind of agree with the position that it in and of itself is not necessarily a political show.
No, I never said it was a political show. That's not what I said.
No, but it does have characters that fit into certain camps.
Yes, that's what makes it. That's what I'm saying. Is I never said the show itself. I said it was a conservative show in that it has conservatives on it. That's the point. Like, one comment tried to be like, "Oh, Hank's
yeah, but
Hank's favorite." Hold on. Hank's favorite president is Ike. And that's just not true. His favorite president was Reagan. Like, he is a full bore. He wanted to vote for Bush until he had a limp handshake. He is a conservative man, right?
But it also has characters. It also has characters that would be considered to be like more Democrat, I guess, if we're American. Like Connie, for example. She would not be a Republican.
No, but that's what I'm saying is it's still a conservative show. And more often than not, the moral of the show is that the crazy liberal is crazy and that the conservative is right.
Sure, but just as often, the point, and I'm mostly arguing devil's advocate here. Just as often in that show, the point is that, oh, Dale is crazy, or, oh, Hank is being unreasonable. There's an entire episode where he goes to anger management because he's being so unreasonable.
Right, so but he's not portrayed as the wrong one in that episode, though. That's the thing. And also, he's portrayed, him and the other guy are portrayed as being the righteous ones. Just the same as there's that episode where Bobby wants to join the free-spirited Christian guys, and Hank won't let him. That's him being a conservative. He is a conservative. Like, he is a conservative guy in the heart of Texas. And that's fine. That's okay.
The show really does. The show really does. It strikes a balance of Hank being right and Hank being wrong.
That doesn't change the fact.
Whenever, yes, it does change the fact. It absolutely does.
No, but it doesn't make it any less of a conservative show. That's the
sure,
point.
but it doesn't make it any more of a conservative show. It makes it an apolitical show which has conservative characters.
But that still makes it a conservative. That's my point.
No, it doesn't. But
you're doing the same thing as everyone else that is. You're connotating the idea of conservatism with MAGA Republicans and all that bullshit. And
no, I'm not. I'm saying that he is a conservative character, absolutely. But just because a show is not necessarily entirely defined by one of the characters or two of the characters that are on it. But it is defined by the cast of characters, and not everybody on that show is like Hank. Bill Dauterive, for example, is not like Hank.
Very much a conservative. No. Oh, absolutely.
No.
He's a conservative. No. Absolutely he is.
No.
They all are. They're all classic Texas Republican. Like, and that's the thing is your idea of a conservative is the modern one. Like, you're doing the same thing as a lot of these comments did.
No, I'm not.
You are though. Like, they are conservative characters.
Yes, I am saying they are. But that doesn't necessarily make it a conservative show.
It does because it is populated.
It's not black and white, man.
But it is because it is populated by again. I never said it was a right wing show. I never said it was a right leaning show. It's not. It could absolutely be considered a left leaning show. But that doesn't change the fact that it is a conservative show with conservative characters. And that's fine. Again, everyone's acting as though that's there's so many of these comments were offended by that characterization because they don't want to be associated with what conservatism is perceived as today. And to be fair, I got an equal number of comments calling the show woke garbage, which it's also not. Like, that's the thing.
To be fair, those comments are mostly talking about the new one, which, for all we know, it could be.
Sure. Yeah, like I said, to be fair, I got a number of comments pointing out the fact that Mike Judge is an anti-Trump hater. Apparently, he has said that Hank would have voted for Hillary and Biden. Apparently, he said that on record. So, according to some of these comments, I didn't look into it too much because I wanted to see what it experienced it organically to see if
I could believe that he would have, regardless of what the creator said, just from what the character was.
No, absolutely, yeah.
I could believe that he would have because he would have seen. I could see Hank being the type where he would have seen the Trump and the MAGA people and just been like they're idiots.
Absolutely, yeah. And also like
that being said, Dale Gribble absolutely would have been a MAGA.
I presume. Well, I mean, to be fair, there is that clip of Hank saying to his dad, "Oh, I'm not going to teach my boy to be a woman hater." But that's conservatism. Like, whereas like my wife is my partner. That's not MAGA, but that's conservatism. That's conservative attitude, right? that people have
Yeah,
misinterpreted
again,
conservative
yeah,
attitudes.
absolutely.
The show
Hank
has a
Hill
conservative attitude.
Hank Hill and Peggy, and yes, they are absolutely conservative. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily make the entire show
No, but no,
a conservative show.
but it is. That's my point. Is it does though,
No,
because it is
it doesn't.
populated by not. What I'm saying is the writing isn't conservative, or it's not a right wing show. Like it's absolutely there's no right wing
Well, again,
comedy in there.
if the writing is not a right wing show, and I mean,
That's what I'm
yes,
saying.
it might have conservative values, but that doesn't make it a conservative show.
But that's the thing is we're gonna move on in a minute. But that's the thing is you're doing the thing where you're conflating conservatism and being a conservative with being right wing. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. Like politically, conservatives like our conservatives are not right wing. Like they're not like right people. Like,
No. But
like,
again,
conservatism.
just because characters in the show are written to be a particular way does not mean that the entire show is
the
that's
show
not
is
how writing works.
The show is often about how conservative values are the correct ones. So yes, it is very much
Sure, but not always. There are times where it's not. Yes, there are.
But okay, sure there are, but they're rare and fundamentally. And again, you're doing the same thing as the comments are, where
Again, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate.
I mean, yeah, you know I'm right.
No, not necessarily. I don't necessarily think that the entire show is a conservative show. I think it has conservative moments. I think it has conservative characters. But it's not black and white. That doesn't instantly make it all one thing.
Like just like I would say The Simpsons is a liberal show because it's populated by liberal characters, or Family Guy is a liberal show because all the characters on that show are liberals. It's a liberal show. It's not a aspersion or a negative thing. But I guess my fundamental point here
for me,
is people are perceiving it as a negative thing. It's not a negative thing.
It ultimately has to come down to writing. And yes, just because certain episodes are written to be conservative doesn't mean that the show itself necessarily is conservative.
It is conservative by nature of the fact that it takes place in Texas and all of its characters are conservative. I'm not saying the writing is conservative, but I'm saying it is as a testament about
and maybe that'll clarify it for the people that are upset.
Yeah,
but,
people conflate, and that I made a video about this on TikTok. But those comments conflate the idea of being conservative and Republican.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
because it's not the same thing.
It's because the modern day has ruined the very nature of it and the idea of it. They are permanently and irrevocably tied together, and that will never change.
Just like calling a person a liberal a conservative is an insult. Calling a conservative a liberal, they would consider that an insult, right? And that's how they're seeing it. And that's what I found interesting. Was because me saying that it is a conservative show, it's fine. It's fine that those characters are conservative. That's fine. It's fine. And sometimes he's wrong, and sometimes he's right. Like there's time, and that's fine. That's how the world operates. Like one side is not explicitly wrong 100% of the time. So it's okay. That was my point fundamentally. It's okay that it's a conservative show. That's fine. What sucks are right-wing shows. Right-wing hack comedy, like Mr. Bertram and shit like that, where it's just angry white guys complaining about how they can't make racist jokes anymore. That shit sucks, and that's what people think I'm saying when I say it's a conservative show, but that's not what I'm saying.
The audio people can't hear, but I'm giving 2 thumbs up.
You're giving 2 thumbs way up. Leave comments, everybody. They ignite.
Helps with the channel, and it gets us pushed further into the algorithm, so more people can have our sultry voices speaking to them,
exactly.
Or squeaky voices, as some people.
Oh yeah, that was that final comment we'll talk about. Yeah, I said the squeaky one is annoying. Which one is the squeaky one? We have remarkably similar vocal timbres.
Is it me?
Is it me? Am I the squeaky one?
Is it me? Am I the squeaky one?
Am I the squeaky one?
Also, will we acknowledge the fact that people think that we're clones and interviewing ourselves?
On with the news, Jordan. On with the news.
On with the news.
On with the news, Jordan. On with the news. Yeah, okay. So the news. Let's start off with that Wicked trailer. Do I want to risk getting blocked on YouTube by playing it?
Defying gravity.
Yeah, fuck it. Worst case, we get kicked off.
Because I mean, yeah, I can mute my mic and just watch it on my tablet. And you won't pick up anything I say or hear. If you're worried.
Share my screen.
I guess he's not worried.
I'm not worried. Worst case, we get taken down.
So we're gonna have to maybe.
Can you see that? No? Ah, there we go. Perfect. There it is. Okay.
Oh.
Can you see that?
I might have to switch. I have it in full screen. I might have to switch over to it. Hold on. Watch. There we go. Now it's open.
You're gonna have to mute your mic, though.
I don't know if it'll actually come out. Oh, Justin's paused it.
Oh, it paused it? Shit.
You minimize the application.
Can you see it now? Jordan?
Alpha Withrop, I know you're out here.
Yes, I see it.
Just come
Okay.
in before the
Can you
monkeys
hear
get
it?
you.
Yes, I can hear it. Just stop talking.
We'll start again.
Alpha Withrop, I know you're out here. Just come in before the monkeys spot you.
There's no going back. This is between us, the wizard, and I.
The Wicked Witch can't elude us forever. Not with Prince Fiero and his squadron hot on her trail.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's my creed.
The wonderful Wizard of Oz. No one believed in you more than I did.
Alphaba. They're coming for you.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason.
Sorry, I'm just like, pity the poor audio listeners.
Because I knew you.
Think of what we could do. Together.
Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun. Like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant war. Who can say if I haven't changed for the better?
Bring me the broom of the Wicked Witch of the West.
For a while there, I thought you changed.
I have changed.
It's time. For both of us.
To fly! Because I knew you.
You're the only friend I ever had.
Because I knew you.
And I've had so many friends.
I have been changed for good.
But only one that mattered.
I'm off to see the wizard.
Okay. How do I stop sharing my screen? There we go. There we go. We did it. We did it, folks. We watched that trailer.
Party
happening?
of Broadway World podcast says, I wouldn't, lol, but okay, you do you. I assume that's in relations to watching the
Oops.
trailer.
Yep. Ignore that video that just popped up. Yes, absolutely. She's probably like, you're gonna get copyright struck, which I'm sure we probably... Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about copyright strikes. I don't mind them when it's like, yeah, this is a copyright strike, but you can still let it play. It's when it blocks my video straight up.
Party of Broadway World says, okay, but you're coming back on my podcast with Jake, right? To talk about this movie. Also, the fact that I'm crying again from this trailer. It's so good.
We probably will, and then I might... Jordan might be Jordan's first appearance on the Party of Broadway World podcast, because I think it's the only one he hasn't done yet. Other than...
Other than Goosebumps,
Or the
we haven't done
wrestling one.
Goosebumps
Or
or
the
the wrestling one.
Or the wrestling one.
Or I also haven't been on the Final Frontier.
Oh, that is true. That is true. But it could be your first appearance on the Party of Broadway World podcast.
It could be. Well, I mean, we'll play it by ear
Play it by ear.
when
Play
this
it by
comes
ear.
out.
But okay. Two schools of thought on this trailer. Thought number one. I think this movie looks good. I'm definitely interested in watching it. Jordan, what do you think? And then I'm going to say what I think about the trailer specifically.
So, okay, being the non-Wicked fanboy here, the person who didn't
I am also
have any context going in, as a movie, it looks fun. It's I'm fascinated to get to the part where it's just the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Different. The fact that we see Dorothy, the
oddly
lion,
sinister.
and all that is just it's weird. It's a weird way of a weird portrayal of a story that I know so well, and so I'm fascinated in that regard. I'm also fascinated because obviously in this interpretation, the Wicked Witch is not a bad person. So how do we resolve this story? Does she melt? Does she become best friends with Dorothy? Is Dorothy going to be portrayed as like someone who's being manipulated and is actually good?
I think so.
I'm fascinated to see like how this plays out and how it ends and where it goes.
I think it's a you think she's dead, but she's not actually dead kind of stories.
I feel like that's probably
That feels
gonna
like
be the
where
case.
it's going. Okay, here's my thing about this trailer. It's a bad trailer, Jordan. Like, can we both agree it's a bad trailer? Because it shows almost the entirety of the movie. Like, I guarantee you that bit where he throws the broom at her is, like, the end of the movie.
Probably.
Also...
Party of Broadway World says, because the Wizard of Oz runs parallel to Wicked.
Yeah. I know the second act takes place during the movie.
The Wizard of Oz, yeah.
But yeah, the bit where she reaches out and it does a duh, as she grabs the broom is like from a superhero movie that's a completely different movie. Like the funny bit about that is you can see the multicolored dance floor in the background, so it's clearly leading into the bit that we saw earlier in the trailer where they're all dancing together. So it just kind of undercuts that moment like a little bit. And I'm not saying that's the fault of the movie. I'm laying it entirely at the fact that this is a bad trailer.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
It's not the movie's fault.
It just tells me that there was a lot in the movie, and they just weren't sure which moments to show. It's not the movie's fault.
No, it's not the movie's fault.
It's the trailer maker's fault in that instance. So I get what you're saying, we will probably have to try and tap into that algorithm and try and watch that when it comes out.
I was a little disappointed with the other thing that made disappointed me about the trailer is the other only song I know other than I guess popular. Okay, but one of 3 songs I know from Wicked is in this trailer, and it's the one that they're singing where because I knew you, I have been changed for good. I was like the synchronization of it was bad. It would have been better if it synced up where it went I have been changed and then you go for good and then you show the trailer. And show the title. Like it's called For Good. Why would you not sync it up? But yeah, I'm interested in that. I'm definitely gonna check it out when it comes out to the theaters.
I'm not interested. I'm more interested than I would have been like 2 years ago before I was encouraged to watch it for the show.
Absolutely.
When you encouraged me, Justin.
I did encourage you
to watch it.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I pulled up this one story, and it was what's happening with Star Wars now that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving. Who's taking over for her? And
I see.
This article says
nothing.
No, it just kind of says that they have 2 people in mind to replace her. Neither one of which is Dave Filoni, who you obviously know from doing. He did the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian and all that shit. That's Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I've heard some people say that he can't do it because he's too close to the lore.
Yeah, well, that's just it. That's what a lot of people say. He's too much of a creative guy. Like, that job is more of a, like, behind-the-scenes kind of, you don't really get to do any of the fun creative shit kind of job. And then the other guy you've
Also,
never heard of, so I'll spare you saying his name.
Part of your Broadway world has committed to screaming at you about it later.
I mean, fair enough.
Also, in terms of
Come on.
in terms of worrying about YouTube blocking this video, I can't speak for what you would want to do for the video portion of when we watched that trailer, but you could always cut out the audio portion and put in something different so it doesn't necessarily get flagged.
I mean, I could do that.
And then confuse the hell out of the Spotify listeners when it just turns into a completely different, like, royalty-free sound that you put in there. Like the da 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 da.
Interesting. So, update on the new that they're making a Mass Effect show for Amazon Prime, which, like, I'm not inherently against because apparently that Fallout show is good. So,
it's a live action one.
I assume so. Yeah. It just says that they've hired a showrunner, Doug Jung. It's gonna be the showrunner. And the only thing he's known for is he co-wrote the 2016 Star Trek Beyond movie, which Jake says is the bad one. So I like that movie. So my thing is without the I think we've talked about this before, but without the option of making a choice,
it kind of just, what's the point?
It's just kind of a generic science fiction universe. There really isn't anything all that. I mean, apart from some, I suppose, creative creature designs, I guess, there really isn't anything all that standoutish about Shepard as a character that makes me go, yeah, I really want to see that explored in a full-length show, but anything can be good.
Yeah. That's true, part of your Broadway world, but it might stop our video from getting blocked, she says. That's not going to make people want to watch the movie if you do that for the audio version.
I mean, yeah. No, I think we'll be fine. I have a pretty good suspicion we'll be fine.
Okay.
And if we're not...
Sorry, you were talking...
You were
talking about Mass Effect and how there's not really a point in it.
No, he's just... Shepard, to me, is not that deep of a character by design. So I just don't... Unless you like, really warp his character. I just see it turning into, like, a Halo thing.
Are you doing the male version of Shepard? Are you doing the female version of Shepard?
I assume probably the male.
What race are you gonna do? Because you can make it any race in the game.
Oh, human.
So,
for sure, human. It's gonna be human Shepard. It's gonna be human male Shepard. I guarantee you.
I mean, like race, like white, black.
Oh, you mean yeah, white. I assume.
Because I seem to remember. I think you can choose what you can make a character.
I made mine look. I made him into a pale ginger by accident because I made him way too pale, and it was really distracting.
An albino.
Albino ginger.
Ginger.
Jordan. I did send you the trailer, the new trailer for Freakier Friday, which has more of the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
And so
you did.
So in this one, Lindsay Lohan's the one who's getting married, and
that makes sense.
And her daughter and the daughter of Jason from The Good Place, it looks to be the love interest, which is interesting, or the fiance or whatever. And his daughter has a British accent for some inexplicable reason. And she's the one who, I think when we previously talked about in the previous trailer, we weren't sure who the random British girl was. But she is she's the daughter, she's the stepsister.
She will be the stepsister. Yeah.
And she's the one who swaps with Jamie Lee Curtis. Which it just kind of seems like she's kind of...
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
It just kind of seems like she's kind of... I don't know. Functionally, in that sort of triangle, doesn't really fit. It kind of seems like swapping with the dad, but I understand why you wouldn't want to do that. That having been said, Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis are having an absolute blast in this movie. They look like they're having so much fun. Like, especially Lindsay Lohan, she looks like she's having an absolute blast.
They absolutely look like they're having a blast, which is good because somebody has to be.
Right.
I feel rather indifferent to it.
No, so
quite
do I. It
honestly.
just kind of looks like they're doing the same thing over again. But
Yeah.
it's been
yeah.
long enough that I feel a sort of faint nostalgia for it, and I'm pretty sure I watched it recently for this show. So, seeing Chad Michael Murray show up in the trailer was funny though. I was like, wow, he looks pretty much the same.
Who?
The love interest from the first movie.
Oh yeah, he's there, and he
The
thinks
guy,
she's weird.
the guy with the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
Yeah, he's back. They're gonna use him. They're gonna use him to break them up. That's the plan. But yeah, no, it looks fun.
Yep.
It looks really fun. I'm kind of excited for that. Gonna watch it on Disney Plus like God intended.
It looks.
But,
I was gonna say it looks like a real fun one to watch on Disney Plus.
right.
Not going to the theater for it.
So, Jordan-
there's no way in
No,
hell that's happening.
absolutely not. Five Nights at Freddy's, Jordan. Five Nights at Freddy's. So
Five Nights at Freddy's, indeed.
they have promised, Jordan, that Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Once again, they have promised that this one will legit actually be scary this time.
See, I don't know. Okay. So here's a hot take. Maybe I never thought those games were like actually scary. They're in this weird
No, fuck you.
place
You're
where,
wrong. They are scary. I don't
they're-
care what you say.
No, they're jump scary.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they do
That's
jump
2/3 of the point
scares,
of the
but-
purpose of doing a Five Nights at Freddy movie is I don't love it, but you do it to do shitty and cheap jump scares. That's the whole point of this.
Right, but my thing was that, like, yes, so you have lots of those, absolutely, but like, if the goal is to make them like scary, like actually scary, like scary, that to me that's not Five Nights at Freddy's. They're goofy. Jump scary.
I would
It's
argue
a different kind of scary.
I would argue that they are not. There's a happy medium between what you're saying and what happened in that first movie, which is there's that really weird, long, prolonged scene where they're all having a sleepover, and you completely undercut what is supposed to be like Five Nights at Freddy's
Right.
1. That scene where they're having the sleepover would effectively be like if midway through Friday the 13th, or even yeah, I guess we'll do Friday the 13th. Midway through Friday the 13th, Jason just became their lovable sidekick for some reason.
Right, and so that's where I'm.
There's a happy medium.
It needs to do more than that, but like I'm saying, like I don't need scenes where you literally see them, like the animatronics, like ripping them apart or like blood, like. So I don't need it to be,
it's never gonna be that.
I don't need it to be like Terrifier, is I guess what I'm
No.
saying, or even Saw.
Yeah,
like
no,
it should be like a PG-13
Jordan,
kind of
this
thing.
is a franchise for children, fundamentally. So no, it's never gonna be that. They need to get that core audience of children.
See,
So,
that's what's weird about it is, I don't know. When he made this game, I don't know who he was intending.
oh
it
no,
to
I
be
don't think
for,
it
but
started off as a
I-
franchise for children. I think it's a franchise for children now. It never used to be that. No.
Which is weird because it's a franchise about murdering children.
Right, but there's way too many children's books based on this franchise for it not to be a franchise for children.
That's where I'm like, I've never.
I'm not saying it
That's why
started
I
off that
say-
way. I'm not
that's
saying
why-
it should be that
that-
way. I'm just saying it is.
That's why I say for the movie it has to walk that tightrope of it needs to be safe scary.
See, I thought that the
Jump
first
scare
one,
scary.
I thought the first one struck the perfect balance, but like adult fans who ruin shit were like, it's not scary enough. So the next one will probably have a bunch of shitty fucking jump scares. I still maintain that first movie's hysterical. It's good for the reasons that it shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. I like the first one,
But-
but I mean, I know a little bit about Five Nights at Freddy's, and so it makes it funny to me.
Right.
Also, I mean, they look right, they act right, they feel right. Like the puppetry in that first one is pretty phenomenal, all things considered. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the second one.
So Jordan.
Hashtag bring back Matt Pack. Matt Pat.
Hashtag bring back Matt Pat. Jordan, so Kevin Feige, as he often does, made things complicated, as he says that the Thunderbolts post-credit scene might not be as simple as we thought. So spoiler for the post-credit scene of...
The fuck does that even mean?
So a spoiler alert for the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts. There you go. Ample warning. But they see a spaceship in space, and it comes through a portal, and it looks like it's the Fantastic Four ship. which is apparently called the Excelsior. So Kevin Feige said their ship is the Excelsior, and there is a Fantastic Four ship entering the MCU, but I'm not sure they're the same ship.
Oh, what is the implication supposed to be that Robert Downey Doom killed his Fantastic Four and stole their ship, and that's the ship that we're actually seeing, and that's going to be like the first scene is the Thunderbolts going to check it out, and Doctor Doom is going to appear and kick their ass?
Yes. I don't know. It's Kevin Feige. He's confusing. No, we're going to get rid of that. So, Jordan.
But we can agree it could be that.
It could be that. So, Jordan, you're never going to guess who has purchased the rights to the Saw franchise from Twisted Pictures and Lionsgate.
Disney.
No. Maybe
Fox.
something else.
Oh, wait, no, that's Disney. Sony.
No. It's Blumhouse, which is interesting.
That's the Five Nights at Freddy's people, isn't it?
It is the Five Nights at Freddy's people, but it's also the original Saw people. So James Wan is the part of the company. James Wan and Jason Blum, they own, or James Wan, I believe, yeah, he owns Blumhouse. I think, or he's involved with it in some capacity. So this deal would reunite him with the Saw franchise. So he's the one who directed the first one. Yeah. So, like, that's interesting. So I would be very interested to see James Wan come back and do a Saw movie.
See, at that point, what I would kind of like is not necessarily a straight remake, but I'd like, if it comes back under the ownership of the original guy, I'd like him to reboot it.
Yeah, I would absolutely love
have the guy have the guy who did the first one come back and do a new first one.
I'm down for that. I'm absolutely down for that. That'd be awesome. Jordan, they announced...
Again, not necessarily a straight reboot, but like something new, but something that just brings it all back and like, because it's like, it's over the top. What do you do with where it is now? Like, do you do another in between? Do you bring Kramer back again and have him look even older, even though it's supposed to be in between the third and the second one, and he's supposed to be 20 years younger than he currently is? Like, you can't keep doing that.
Are you gonna do that weird sequel with Hoffman? That's like 20 years too late.
No, just reboot it.
So, Jordan, there's a PlayStation State of Play. There's a bunch of video game news that came out this week.
Video games?
They announced a new game called Marvel. I don't know how to pronounce it. Token? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, the fighting one that you showed me, right?
Yeah, that game actually looks kind of fun.
That one just kind of looks like Marvel vs. Capcom without the Capcom.
See, you said Marvel vs. Capcom. To me, it reminded me of Dragon Ball Z Fighters.
I saw that comparison too. I could see that, but just because Marvel has done a fighting game before, it just immediately makes me go back to the classic.
It gives me that much like Fighter Z, where it's like, oh yeah, if you want to be okay at this and just do the story mode, it's a one button masher, and it lets you do easy combat or combos. But if you want to get good at it, you have to practice kind of fighting games. Yeah, it looks fun. For me, fighting games, I'm never gonna play them competitively. So it's all gonna be about, does it have an interesting or engaging story mode? Yeah, which it's Marvel, it's got it, right?
I don't know. Fighter Z didn't.
Fighter Z, what didn't get in it? I like Fighter Z's story.
Yeah, but the actual what you do in it, you just fight the same clones over and over again.
I mean, yeah, but the purpose of a fighting game story mode is, I mean, to be fair, that story mode is entirely too long. It's like 3 chapters, and you play, and they're all different from each other, but like slightly similar. It's very, very confusing.
My bar is the Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice games, so it's better in those ones.
Those ones you never fight the same 5 guys, like. I will give you that. But, I mean, there were some fun interactive moments in the story mode where you put characters together and they would, like, give each other the business. That was kind of fun.
See, I'm not... This Marvel game looks fine, but I think I said this to you in our private chat. Now that Marvel and DC are willing to come together and work together on a Batman Deadpool comic for the first time in, like, 20 years... they're actually willing to come together and work on something.
Get a Marvel DC fighting game out there.
I would like a Marvel DC fighting game out there. Even if you got to hijack, co-opt the Injustice 3 one and make it like where that is they're invading another universe or something and use that as the contrivance for why it happens. I don't care. That's what I want. I want a Marvel DC fighting game. especially because I think the people that make the Injustice one, NetherRealm or whatever,
They've been working on it. They've been working on a Marvel game for like ever.
Have they?
Mhm.
Interesting. I was more gonna say, I like their engine for fighting games.
I mean, yeah, just do it. What they should do. I mean, it's a licensing nightmare, but NetherRealm has proven that they are capable of getting licenses,
Third-party characters.
Yeah, so just do a multiverse game where it's like lean into like, and then you could put in whatever character you want into this fighting game. You're no longer hamstrung by the fact that it's a Mortal Kombat game, or it's created its own game where you have all of these like different IPs fighting and create a story for it. Like,
I mean, that would be dope, and I would be okay with that. But seriously, Marvel vs. DC fighting game, get on it.
So Jordan,
get on it. Get on it. Get on it.
So Captain America 4, the director says that the fact that the Red Hulk was in that movie had to be spoiled, which is wrong. He says, quote, "When you're making a movie like this, an announcement goes out that Harrison Ford is going to play Thaddeus Ross, and you have a fandom as massive and passionate as the MCU fandom is, you're toast at that point, you know? In a perfect case scenario, it would have been awesome if that had been an in-theater surprise, but I think it would have been very difficult. Somewhere along the way,
that's horseshit. That's horseshit.
A toy would have been found, or somebody would have leaked a trailer. It's just so hard to. That is horseshit. It's absolute horseshit. You absolutely could have not spoiled that. You absolutely could have cut trailers where he wasn't. Where you could have made it where he's just President Thaddeus Ross. Like, yeah, and you clearly, and that is clearly a PR bullshit line, because the movie is built so that it's supposed to be a twist. Like, it's written to be a twist. So clearly you expected it to be a twist.
It's written to be a twist, and it just comes across like some executive was like, you know, we don't have faith that it's gonna sell. We need to put a hook in there. Oh, let's just tell them that Red Hulk is in it.
Right.
Like, that's what it comes across like.
Right.
Some executive came in and made the executive decision to put it in to spoil it.
Right. That's it. That's the news. That's all. That's it for the news. And enough. You know what? Today's episode. You know what? I've decided I'm going to full bore lean into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Again and Forever. We already talked about it earlier, but just as a reminder, you can go check out their music video for Chop Suey. And they got a new album coming out eventually, Diary of Charles Manson, I think is what it's called. It's some sort of hidden meeting. But yeah, I'm gonna post the link to Chop Suey and their channel in the description. You can go check them out. Their music is good, and it is headed by our good friend of the podcast and co-host of Toon Talk 2.0, Virus Vox. Yeah,
and you can vote for free for them once per day, or I think you can pay if you want to. If you want to vote,
you vote for them. Yeah, you can. If you want to pay $10, you can vote more than once, or you can vote once per day for free. But you can vote as many times as you want, as long as it's only once per day.
Do it.
Go. Do it. Go check out Chop Suey and leave a comment and tell them that we sent you.
I don't actually remember the words.
Trust in my self-righteous suicide. That's all I know.
Anyways.
Today we are going back in time, and we are asking the question: do you remember these Disney Channel
original movies? Disney Channel original movies. They were nice and short.
They were very short. The cutoff was 2005, so it had to be before 2005, unless maybe you cheated. I might have cheated.
I might have cheated. You know,
once.
We'll find out how much I cheated.
John, what's your first thing?
Because I will let you know what year each of these came out in.
All
so.
Right.
My first rapid fire.
It's
called Smart. What?
I didn't do that. So now you've challenged me. So while you talk, I'm gonna pull up the year.
I'm only doing it because I have each of the Wikipedias open and it's easy for me. My first rapid fire is a movie called Smart House. It came out in 1999, and it is delightfully 90s.
Delightfully 1999.
There's a part where the dad is like, you can't be on the internet all the time. How are people supposed to call us if you're on the internet all the time? Because this is clearly like a reference to ye old dial-up. You remember the dial-up? I remember the dial-up.
I remember the dial-up.
And how it would clog up the phone lines, and you couldn't be on the internet if your parental unit was using the phone, and it was a whole thing for us old people.
God, I remember that. Remember the 90s? God, the 90s was the worst.
And so this movie, basically, the kid has been the son or whatever has been entering them in a bunch of different contests. This one was to win a smart house.
Smart house.
And an AI controlled Sam 5000 controlled household, who is Katie Seagal.
Because of course it is.
But yeah, basically, the house takes on a life of its own in the form of overbearing mother Katie Seagal. It's definitely from the 90s. I don't think I'd actually seen this one before this time. Do you remember the Smart House, Justin?
Oh, I absolutely remember Smart House. Yes, I absolutely remember Smart House. I remember the fact that at the end, it just becomes human and it's Katie Seagal.
It's a hologram. It creates like a holographic version of itself, and it's just Katie Seagal. The
thing I love about Disney Channel original movies is how you can say what they're about in a sentence. It's just really handy.
The funny thing about this one is the woman who made the robot, the Katie Seagal robot, and like she really does make this like perfectly functioning machine, which is doing everything that it's supposed to do. And the only reason that there's any conflict in the movie at all is because the 13-year-old kid misses his mom, and doesn't want his dad to date, and so he with the programming, and that's what causes the events of the movie to happen. But otherwise, I mean, there would have been no conflict if it wasn't for a 13-year-old kid.
It's funny.
That's Smart House.
That's Smart House? Alright.
I feel like, by the way, today might be a smaller episode because some of these are real short.
Yeah. Okay, so so when it comes to Disney Channel original movies, I find that I found this week that there's a sliding scale of like some of these, they're all bad. Like, don't get me wrong, none of these are good movies, but some of them are like good or bad because they're Disney Channel original movies and the budget isn't
campy. There's some that are campy.
Right, they're good for what they are. Is how I would put them. So this is a good movie for a Disney Channel original movie. And the other thing is each one of these has a random celebrity. Just a random famous person that you're like, this feels like slumming it for you. You're famous by this point. What are you doing in this movie? So
most of them do, yeah.
At least one. So that was a very long lead in to say my first one was a movie called The 13th Year. Jordan, do you remember The 13th Year?
Isn't that one where she gets 13 candles or something and gets a wish for each year?
No.
13 wishes?
I think you're thinking of 16 Candles. But no.
13th
Year maybe. Is it's a young boy and he turns 13, and at his 13th birthday, surprise, he discovers that he's turning into a mermaid. Or I suppose he's a merman. That's a joke that they do multiple times. And he meets a kid, he meets this friend who's like your atypical. Oh yeah, this movie came out in 1999, by the way. And he's like your atypical, like he's a nerd. All he wants to do is study. And the main kid, he's the captain of the swim team, and they don't get along because he's cool and he isn't. What made me laugh though is I sent a video of this to you where it was like Man, we used to be like self-aware back in the day. You know, we could tell that people didn't like us, and then we would leave. Now, if this movie took place today, that kid would hang around, and the scene would just be awkward, or he would be the bully, because for whatever reason, the nerds are the bullies now.
The nerds have risen up and taken over.
Yeah, right. So him turning into a merman manifests in several different ways. So he shocks people with electric eel powers. He sticks to shit like he's Spider-Man. He's really thirsty, and he starts developing fish scales. And he can't figure out what to do.
Does.
In the meantime,
it's puberty. You've just described puberty.
Well, so his because the movie obviously needs to contrive a reason for him not to say anything. He eventually develops the good sense to say something to his, or for them not to say anything to anybody else, or to figure it out. So at a certain point, he decides to tell his parents, and his mom. He's like, okay, maybe I should go see a doctor. You know, I've got these scales, and this is how it's all manifesting. And she's like, no doctors. And they're like, they're like, oh yeah, because doctors are all quacks. What? No. What? No. Definitely a doctor. Definitely, if you're developing scales, for sure a doctor. Definitely a doctor. And so then she eventually relents and lets him go to a doctor, and the doctor checks him out and tells him that it's just puberty. It's like, what? No, he's got scales and he sticks to shit. It's not just puberty. Are you crazy? Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. Not all doctors are quacks, but that one definitely is.
That one is 100% a quack.
That one is 1000% a quack. And there's the kind of the thing with some of these movies is you kind of have to put yourself in the perspective of, I'm an adult and I have logic, and so the big final like sort of conflict of the movie is obviously he wants to go to the big swim meet, and every time he touches water, he turns into every time he touches water, sometimes he starts turning into a merman, but other times he doesn't. They never say it, but I think it's the implication that it's salt water that's doing it.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
unless he changes when he's in a pool, in which case that makes no sense.
Well, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. So the climax of it is he goes to do the big swim meet, and his kid friend Jesse is like, no, don't go do the big swim meet. He's like, I have to. And he's like, why? Like, it's not even like other sports where you like get to wear a jacket or be cool. It's like you get wet and you're covered in chlorine and you stink for like hours on end. It just doesn't seem worth it. So of course he does the big swim, and now he's permanently turning into a merman, and they can't stop it or whatever. And the entire time, the best friend's dad has been like trying to find mermaids. Like, he's been obsessed. Everyone calls him crazy. And the kid's mom, original mom, the mermaid mom, finds him, and it ends with him going off with her. It's really weird and very strange and very not. It was all right in terms. Oh yeah, sorry, the random celebrity that's in it, Dave Coulier's in it for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the dad randomly. I'm like, what the? Is that Dave Coulier? What the? All right, odd. All right.
Okay then.
Yeah, the 13th year wasn't bad. I would not qualify it as bad. It wasn't all. It's all right for what. It's one of those like there's a particular effect that they do where he's got the fins and he's got the scales that they were clearly really proud of.
Did you say what year it came out in?
99.
99.
It's a very 1999 movie. It's very 1990, especially with Dave Coulier in it. It's a very 90s movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a couple of effects they do where it's like, you know what? Considering this is Disney Channel, it's not bad. It's not a bad effect.
Okay. So, I suppose if we're talking about fictional creatures that don't exist, we should talk about Luck of the Irish. And
Luck of the Irish.
So okay, Luck of the Irish. The main character, who is played by Ryan Merriman, I believe.
Don't know who that is.
He was on some other stuff. Anyways, that doesn't matter. He's supposed to be doing a family report on his family's heritage. Also, there's basketball stuff which is involved, so it's like one part fantasy film and one part sports film. But he has his lucky coin stolen when he's at an Irish festival, trying to find out about his heritage, and then whoopsie poopsie, he starts shrinking, gets red hair, his mom turns into the size of a leprechaun, he finds his grandpa.
Wait, what?
Beard.
His mom turns into the size of a leprechaun?
Yeah, she shrinks, so she's like that tall.
I actually do remember this. I remember two things about this movie. Number one, there's that factoid about the creation of the potato chip and how they slice the potato too thin, and that is the reason for the existence of the potato chip. The reason why I know that factoid is because of this movie.
So, as for who would have been famous at the time, because one of the characters did end up becoming, I don't know if he was famous at the time, but he ended up being in things that we know. So it's got Timothy Amundsen, who was in Supernatural. He was Kane.
I was gonna say, yeah, I recognize that name. He's also if you watch Gallivant, he's King Richard in Gallivant.
Yep. That was one of the things that popped up. And Henry Gibson, I think, is the one who would have been considered famous at the time. He's the grandpa. And I'm trying to bring up his page so I can read off some of the things that he was in, if it wants to load, which doesn't seem like it wants to. I'm venting. Just run with me. Hurry up, you stupid.
While you do that, you said something that yesterday that was astute, where you were like, Disney movies kind of fall into like 4 or 5 categories of like, are these where it's like, it's based on the show, Hallmark movie, a holiday special, or magical shenanigans.
Yep. Or there's sometimes crossover.
There's crossover between the categories, but they largely separate into those categories.
When did I say this came out? 90 or 2001?
Yeah, that's very much 2000s one.
Yeah, it came out in 2001. So he was in... There was one in particular... I mean, he was background character in a lot of things.
A lot of times it's like they give a channel, especially in the 2000s.
He ended up being in Wedding Crashers, Father O'Neill.
Oh man, a lot of these movies are vehicles for the stars on the channel. So you'll usually have one, like, for example, we're not talking about it today because it's past the threshold, but like Hatching Pete was like a vehicle for like Mitchell Musso and Jason Dolly, whatever his name is.
Absolutely. He was in MacGyver a lot. He was.
Oh, sports. That was it. That was the other one. Sports movie.
He was in Rugrats. There was one in particular that I saw when I looked at his page, that I was like, really? I'm not finding it. Oh well. But yeah, there wasn't really a major like, oh my god, it's that guy. That popped up from. No. Oh, Charlotte. That's who it was. He was Wilbur in Charlotte's Web.
The original one.
The 1973 one.
Oh, really? Oh, that's wow. Okay, wow, yeah. Oh, I'm a pig. I whine. Charlotte.
So, the grandpa in Luck of the Irish is Wilbur.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, that's funny. Joy's at it for Luck of the Irish.
So that's where I say I guess he would be the famous one in this movie. Yeah, that's Luck of the Irish.
In this context.
I will say, apparently this movie was conceived as a St. Patrick's Day film, but it doesn't take place on St. Patrick's Day, so I question whether it is a St. Patrick's Day film. Just because it has Irish stuff in it, does that automatically relegate it to the holiday of St. Patrick's Day, or does it stand on its own in spite of being based on Irish culture?
I mean, to be fair, Irish people don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, so I would say probably not. Wow, Google is so wrong.
There you go. That's the Luck of the Irish.
Okay, so Google every time.
I will say, I like this one. This is one of those ones that I do have a fond nostalgia for.
Oh yeah, I love that one. There's a bunch of shit. I remember the ending bit where they all sing "This land is my land" as he's trying to.
This land is your land.
Yeah. It's funny. Every time you go, every one of these Disney Channel original movies, it shows the runtime on Google, and it's always wrong. Like every time, like wildly wrong. Like so. Okay, my next movie is a movie called Miracle in Lane 2, and Google says it's 2 hours long.
None of these are 2 hours long.
None of these are remotely 2. No, I think it was an hour and a half. I was shocked that it was an hour and a half. So okay, this is.
I think the longest one that I had, was an hour 40. I want to say.
Oh man, no, they never went above an hour and a half. Really?
There's
no
maybe
way.
I'm wrong.
None of mine went above an hour and a half. They all like sort of sandwiched in and around an hour 20 to an hour and a half. So okay, so my next movie, is a movie called Miracle in Lane 2. Came out in the year 2000, and the person who you're like, wow, you're too famous for this, is Frankie Muniz. Which this must have been based on the year 2000. This must have been pre Malcolm in the Middle. Hold on, now I'm curious. Yeah, no, it's the same year. Interesting. So he must have filmed this around the time he did the pilot or started doing Malcolm in the Middle, because it's the same year. So yeah, I think he's too famous for this. But he plays Justin Yoder, who is a soapbox racer, a famous one. He basically, the plot of the movie is Justin Yoder is a kid in a wheelchair who he has some sort of, I can't remember what it is. Hold on, let's see if this Wikipedia says what it is. Spina bifida. He has spina bifida and hydrocephalus. So he has a wheelchair. And his parents are overprotective, and he wants a trophy. He wants to be remembered for something. And this is based on a real guy. And he is credited. The plot of the movie is he becomes a soapbox racer. That's the plot of the movie. Very easy. This is why I love these Disney Channel original movies. But he's known for, in real life, creating a handbrake that allowed other physically handicapped kids to participate in soapbox racing. So within that sphere, he's quite famous. And tragically, he died in a car crash. He got smoked in a car crash and died.
That's sad.
That is really sad and morbidly ironic, in a way.
I don't think you can say that.
Anyway, this movie's weird. This movie has a tone problem. So number one. These movies all have pacing issues where they're clearly. Okay, now let's go back a bit further. A lot of these movies feel like they were shelled scripts for not real movies, but like theatrical. You know what I mean when I say real movies, but like
theatrical releases
for adults. Maybe this felt like this was a theatrical release that got stripped down from a budget standpoint, and Disney just picked it up. That's what this feels like. It's one of the ones, Jordan. Yeah, it's the Hallmark one.
It slides into one of those categories. It's the Hallmark.
It's the Hallmark category. Yeah, and so the first like. Nothing really happens for the first 30 minutes. It's just the Frankie Muniz in a wheelchair getting into shenanigans. He's basically just Malcolm from Malcolm in the Middle, and he has these weird fantasy sequences randomly where he sees God, who is I'm guessing played by at the time a famous race car driver whose name I would say to you, but you wouldn't recognize, and I didn't recognize. But he was a famous race car driver, and so Frankie Muniz, his character Justin, feels weird calling him Justin, but he talks to him, and he pictures himself talking to him. Or there's points where there's a point where he's trying to convince them to let him do the soapbox derby racing, and he's envisioning it as a courtroom drama where mom is defending him as the defense and dad is prosecuting and the brother is the judge. And they're really funny sequences. They're genuinely funny. I laughed. It's a funny movie. And Frankie Muniz, obviously, however many seasons of Malcolm in the Middle, very charismatic. Too famous for this, arguably, but very charismatic. And the emotional stuff is really, really effective, and it's really good. But about midway, when he starts to do the soapbox stuff, it becomes an entirely different movie where now the main kid, they stop doing the fantasy sequences, and now the dad's the main character, and the movie's about how he's is neglecting the one son because he's spending too much time with the kid in the wheelchair, and how he's being a neglectful father and husband. And there's a bunch of scenes with him, and there's a mentor character, and they're hanging around talking about how his emotional problems, and it kind of stops being about the kid. It's very weird. It's very strange, and it becomes all of a sudden ultra serious and ultra dramatic, and really emotionally tense. Even though, again, the stakes of the movie are relatively low, they're like, oh, he just, whether or not he can be in this soapbox derby, which you inevitably know he's gonna because he's a real person. But yeah, it was honestly, it was all right. That's where I'm sliding scale of these Disney Channel original movies. It's honestly probably one of the ones that's actually a good movie. That's it.
Okay.
That's Miracle in Lane 2. Do you remember watching soapbox derbies as a kid? Just a real quick aside.
In real life?
Yeah.
No.
You don't remember? You don't remember we went to when we went to watch them in Cloverdale? The Big Hill in Cloverdale? Oh, I'll never forget it because I grabbed a bee in my hand and I squished it and it stung me.
No, I don't specifically remember
I
that.
always wanted to do. These movies always make these things look way more serious than I imagine they are, but yeah. It's kind of like one of those we're going to talk about high school sports later, but it's my relationship to high school sports. Maybe it's as dramatic as these movies make them out to be, but at least in my school it never seemed it was. But we'll talk about it.
No. So, okay. I'm going to switch up my order here a little bit. And because you talked about you briefly mentioned Malcolm in the Middle, which segues nicely because you remember how the older brother ends up at military school and it's portrayed as this punishment and it's a bad thing. You really don't want to go to military school.
I mean, that's always been my understanding is
that's been my understanding is military school is a bad thing. You don't want to end up there.
Well, I mean, I suppose if you want, I mean to be fair, in movies it's because they don't want to go, but I assume there is a segment of the population who wants to go.
But I've never seen a thing which is portrayed in that way, which
Not in the
segues
media.
nicely into I watched Cadet Kelly.
Oh god, I've seen that movie so many times because I had a massive crush on Hilary Duff as a child.
Oh yeah, growing up, I mean, even still, I still have a crush on current.
Oh, absolutely,
Hilary
yes.
Duff.
I have a crush on the very much now adult woman Hilary Duff.
Yes, that crush has not faded. Is more the point.
But when I had a crush on her when I was a child. I wasn't an adult who had a crush on a child. I was also a child. She's in fact older than me.
Yeah. Anyways, this movie was actually Hilary, and I didn't know this. There's a couple interesting things about this movie which I didn't know.
Real quick, I remember how we were talking about the movies that are vehicles for the stars already on existing shows. This is that. So this is a vehicle for obviously at the time Hilary Duff is on Lizzie McGuire, and obviously Christy Carlson Romano is on Even Stevens at the time, and also probably by that point Kim Possible.
I'm probably. As for the Hilary Duff being on, I'm pretty sure she was anyways. But anyways,
sure.
This is her first or her second rather starring film role.
Yeah, the first obviously we talked about it.
It was Casper.
It was Casper. We talked about Casper. That was her first one. This is the second one, really.
This is the second one.
Yeah, I have to assume she was on Lizzie McGuire by that point.
I
feel like
I'm too lazy to actually go and look at the dates, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example. Cadet Kelly is an example of a movie that takes something that is relatively mundane and that typically has no drama to it and adds drama to it. So rifle spinning at military school, I guarantee you, is never that exciting.
Right. Also, another interesting thing, this was the second film filmed in Canada by Disney Channel.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know what the first is. I'm too lazy to look it up.
Is this one of those movies where she twists her ankle in the third act, climax of the third act, so she can't do the big meet, but then she shows up at the big meet with a limp and it's supposed to be endearing?
No. This is the one where in the third act, when she's supposed to be part of the big group thing, she has to go AWOL with stepdad and go rescue actual dad, and then she makes it back just in time to do the one last dance with Christy Carlson Romano's character. But, and this is a touch that I actually appreciate and I actually like about this movie, they don't come in first.
No, I know.
They
I
come
love
in
it
second.
I love it when they lose, because it's more, especially on a Disney movie, because they're so idealistic. It's kind of nice to see when things go wrong.
But so Gary Cole, is he famous at the time?
No, I don't recognize his name.
He's the stepdad. But because I was looking for who might have been famous at the time, which I know technically it would be Christy Carlson Romano and Hilary Duff, but I more meant outside of that.
That's the kind of movie where it's literally just because they're currently on a Disney Channel show, and I guarantee you it came between an episode of even Stevens and Liz McGuire.
Gary Cole must have been famous though, because under the starring section, it has Hilary Duff, Christy Carlson Romano, and Gary Cole.
Probably because he's higher up in the union. I guess it depends on what he's probably like a grunt. To be fair, there are some adult actors who popped up a few times in these movies where it's like, oh hey, yeah, they're on that show. So he probably was on a show.
But
yes, I obviously remember Cadet Kelly.
I'm gonna look at that after. This one came out in 2002. This was very much I was old enough to have memories.
Oh, I absolutely have memories. I watched that movie a bunch.
But so it's funny because there's a point where because obviously there's a rivalry / whatever that develops between Hilary Duff and Romano and their characters, and there's a point where Romano has told Cadet Kelly that she's to stay out until she can finish the course, and she's gonna miss the big ball that everybody's going to, and has bought all pretty dresses and stuff. And Cadet Kelly finishes her training, is hurrying there, and she trips down the hill, falls through the door, and accidentally gets her dirtiness all over Romano's dress, and then Romano court-martials her, and they have this whole student court thing, and where she's like, she destroyed my property, but prior to the actual court-martialship, she has torn Cadet Kelly's rainbow blanket into shreds and destroyed it, and Cadet Kelly lawyer doesn't think to mention this, even though an entire dormitory full of girls were all there to see this happen, and there are plenty of witnesses, and it would make a great defense as to why she shouldn't be punished for a thing that was an accident versus a thing that was a deliberate, conscious choice by a superior officer. I'm just saying, she didn't defend her properly. She didn't get a proper defense.
Jordan.
Which, I mean, of course, she had to have a failed defense so the course of the movie could happen. I understand that, but shut up. Nobody asked you.
Jordan.
This is also an example of one where, because of the simplistic nature of what happens in the movie, I absolutely believe this was at one point one that this quite frankly, as is, could have gone to theaters.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. I'm sure it probably was. It definitely reads that way. It's probably okay. Jordan, did you remember Miracle on Lane 2?
I remember the one where Frankie Muniz is in a wheelchair. I don't remember I didn't remember specific details about it, and that's going to play into another one that you're going to bring up as well, where it's like I remember generally, but I don't remember details.
Jordan, do you have anything else to say about Cadet Kelly?
That's Cadet Kelly.
Cadet Kelly. Okay, yeah, speaking of these movies that felt like they were adult scripts that got turned into a kids movie. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You gotta kind of remember that these are Disney Channel movies, so they're always gonna be like they're good for a Disney Channel original movie.
Real quick, you remember how we were for the other guy who was Gary Cole, who was top billing in Cadet Kelly?
Yeah,
he's Dr. James Possible in Kim Possible. He's the dad in Kim Possible.
He's the dad in Kim Possible.
Amongst a lot of other things.
That's why he's in this, though, because he's the dad in Kim
Sergeant
Possible.
Sergeant Bosco and Bob Burgers.
Yeah, I told you, sometimes the adults are like, hey, like there was, in the which one was it? Oh, I think it's the Starstruck. The mom
Harvey
in that
Birdman.
movie is the mom from Dog with a Blog. It's like, yeah,
Principal Shepard and Family Guy.
it just it's weird because I've heard that the contracts for these movies are like individual, like they have to audition for them, which is wild to me because they read as though like
They were just given the
they
role.
were just on set for Hannah Montana, and they were like, "Hey, Emily Osment, you want to be in Dad Napped?" Because like half the time, like for example, like we'll put a pin in that because yeah, that's gonna come back. But so anyway,
I feel like more modern Disney, yeah, it definitely comes across that way.
Not so much the older stuff. No, they actually put the effort to cast for those. The Hallmarky ones definitely. But the ones, some of the modern ones, yeah, it just seems like they were on Sunny with a Chance. They're like, hey, you want to be in a movie? But anyway, so my next one. Speaking of that, speaking of the ones that are a vehicle for a star on a show, and ones that feel like they were an adult romantic comedy script prior to this. My next one is a movie called Pixel Perfect, starring Ricky Ullman, who you would know of Phil of the Future. He is Phil of the Future. This is his vehicle.
He is Phil of the future.
Yeah, this is his vehicle. This was his movie. And Jordan, let's begin this with, do you remember Pixel Perfect?
No, not really.
So, okay. So this movie...
I don't know that that's one that I watched a lot, is what I'll say.
I couldn't... I'm pretty sure I had seen it, because I remembered the ending. But it's been a while, and I think I'd only seen it once.
Been a while?
So it's definitely one of those ones that it feels like this was a full-bore adult romantic comedy that they took and they stripped it down to a kids movie, because so much of the story of this doesn't make any sense. So many of the characters' interactions don't make any sense. The plot of it doesn't make any sense, and it's generally up top opening thesis actually a bad movie. Like it is legitimately, like, I would characterize a bad movie, like a legitimately not very good movie. So, for the audience at home who doesn't remember this movie, this is the plot of it. So, Ricky, I don't remember the character's name, but Ricky Ullman, the main guy, his dad has developed this holographic technology that can be used to create life. So, the movie opens with he's created a cat. And so long as the cat doesn't, but it's a cat, it thinks it's a cat. Like, the cat thinks it's a cat. Like, it's a real cat, but it's a hologram. And so his friend, because it's a Disney movie, and of course she is the lead singer of a band. Of a 3-piece rock band. Remember that bit. It's important. It's going to come back later. He is a whiz at using this holographic technology to create things. He is also still a high school student. They're all high school students still. Okay. So the girl, the girlfriend, who's not his girlfriend, but is his best friend, and who is madly in love with him, and he is totally oblivious and has no clue. Again, pin in that's important. They go to audition for what is essentially this Simon Cowell, because this came out, in what year did this come out? Early 2000s, hold on. He's Simon Cowell coded. He's very much Simon Cowell. Not Simon Cowell, what am I doing? Pixel Perfect. Come on. Which year? 2004. This came out in 2004. So just to snap, that makes sense because it's Phil in the Future is about that time. Anyway, so they go to this audition with the Simon Cowell coded character, and they perform this song. It's an alright song. They're singing it, they're playing it, and he's got this stink eye look on his face. He's like, "Ooh, you're no good. What if you put down the guitar?" And it's like, well, alright, but I mean, it's 1/3 of the band. It's not going to sound very good. And what if you did a little dance? And so she does this really awkward dance and tries to sing the song. Well, all you can hear, to the credit of the movie, all you can hear now is the bass and the drums because you've taken out 1/3 of the band. Like, yeah, of course she sounds bad. You've taken away 1/3 of the band. And so then he they decide that what they ultimately need is they need a lead singer. And so this blonde-haired girl comes in and starts performing this song. And she's dancing, but she's doing too much. She's like doing spins and pirouettes and like lifting her leg above her head. And she finishes the song by doing like this backflip. And she at no point is out of breath. All while singing, mind you. It is no point ever out of breath. And yeah, it turns out that he has created this hologram girl. And once again, to the movie's credit, they never say that she's straight up a hologram. Like, they never say she's straight up a hologram. They very much are like, oh, she's a combination hologram and this, like, AI technology that allows her to access the internet at any point and learn anything instantaneously. So she starts to become self-aware, and it's AI. It's AI. It's AI. And so she starts to want to be human. Like, she has this constant need to, like, want to go outside. And, like, he keeps trying to fix her and make her more perfect or whatever. And she's like, why don't you... And she's like, why don't... She's a teenage girl. She's like, why don't you like me for my imperfections or whatever? And they get into this big fight. And then the next, like, 5 to 10 minutes of the movie is just her on the internet against horrid-looking green screens, even by the standards of one of these movies. Like, just horrible-looking green screen composites that just look bad and look awful and look awkward. She disappears for a while. And, it ultimately gets revealed that she's a hologram. She does a bunch of performances, and for whatever reason, nobody's like, yeah, she's not getting remotely out of breath. That's weird. Anyway, it eventually gets revealed that she's a hologram, and the big bad evil record label wants to use her endlessly and wants to make like 1,000 copies of her. And the guy's like, but then she'll lose her personality and individuality. And they're like, yeah, she's a hologram. And so then she escapes, and the girlfriend, who her whole arc throughout the movie is she's envious of the hologram for being perfect. She's mad at the guy for being too into the hologram. At one point, she's like, "Oh, you're in love with her," and he doesn't outright deny it. And it's like for me,
you're in love with the hologram, which isn't real, and
right, that you're creating and you're feeding information into. It's a little like falling in love with ChatGTP. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like the thing with these movies is I have to remind myself that I'm not a kid, and I'm approaching this with adult logic. So like I'm like Ricky Ullman, you don't know what love is. You're like, I'm gonna be generous and say 16. Like,
you're like 5. You're a baby. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. So it's like, yeah, when you say you guys are in love, you're not. You're gonna break up 2 years from now. Like you're in high school.
You're not in love. You're in infatuation. Right. There's a difference.
And so what I mean when I say though that this feels like it was originally an adult movie is there's a scene that's like it's confusing. So like there's a bit where the guy the son is having dinner with the dad, and he's like, do you remember the last thing you said to your ex-girlfriend? And the dad goes, oh, I haven't thought about her in so long. Which, okay, again, I'm generously assuming that he's 16 years old. Even if it's 5 years ago and you're a shitty guy and your memory's that bad, he's 11? Why on earth would an 11-year-old remember the last thing his dad's ex-girlfriend said to him? And if it's 10 years, to me a line like that implies like 10 years. Why would your 6-year-old son, that's so weird. So that's where I'm like, this feels like it was a line written for an adult character from an adult script. Anyway, ending of the movie. So the big bad evil record label wants to abuse this character, and so she escapes into the internet and disappears and goes to Japan. And the main girl, the main love interest, she attempts to pretend to be the hologram and do all the same dance moves on stage. And like the hologram, she ends every performance, I've already mentioned it, by doing a backflip. And it's an impressive backflip, but they do a camera trick to hide the fact that it's a stunt double, but it's still a reasonably impressive backflip. So the girl, she attempts to do this backflip, but it's not really a backflip so much as it's a really awful and badly stunted cartwheel that doesn't look remotely believable as a backflip, and she cartwheels off the stage and lands on her head. And because this is a Disney Channel original movie and they've removed a bunch of character growth and character arc because these movies are an hour 25 and they don't have enough time to do anything with this, the robot, the hologram comes back, and she's like, what's wrong with her? And she's like, oh, she hit her head. She had, she's in a coma. And she's like, we just fix her like you do with me. Use the computer. She's like, I can't. It's brain damage. That's not how it works. She's like, well, what if I went in this? And she's on like a really weirdly advanced EKG machine that she goes inside. And so now she's inside somehow the girl's head.
That just feels wrong.
And
Sick and wrong.
The girl is like trapped in her own mind or whatever. And yeah, she eventually finds her. And like
she
saves her.
Matrixed her.
Pretty much, yeah. She exactly. She reverse matrixes her and saves her from the inside her own brain. And the hologram has had this whole thing about wanting to go out in the rain. That's been a subplot the whole movie. And so she wakes up and she's now the hologram. The hologram is now possessing her. And
reverse matrixing her.
And she walks out into the rain. And the guy's like, okay, you're gonna let her bring her back, right? She's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
I'm alive. I am alive. I gotta run free.
And then she looks up in the air. She touches the water. She looks up in the air. I think she kisses him, and she looks up, and then she disappears. And then it cuts to like a little while later, and they're now playing for the Simon Cowell guy. But now they're playing soft rock acoustic ballads instead of pop rock ballads, which is what they were playing earlier. And it functionally is the same music, but it's like with an acoustic guitar instead of an electric guitar. And now the Simon Cowell character is happy, and he wants to sign them or whatever. And they're like, oh, you sounded so good. Who was singing harmonies? And like all the rest of the band, like, I don't sing harmonies. And then you just see the spirit of the hologram girl just hanging out there, and then she disappears. Like,
well, that's creepy.
This movie is bad. This movie is bad and nonsense, and like it feels like it was a science fiction romantic comedy written for adults. That they took all of the shit that made it for adults, and then that made all the logic just go out the window. Again, it just bad. It's a bafflingly terrible movie. I was shocked, even by. It might be the worst movie I watched this week. Just being straight up. The rest of these movies I would qualify as actually being kind of good. But yeah, this one was bad. Next!
I understand. So, now, it is 2003. Specifically, it is January 10th, 2003. And a movie called You Wish.
I Do Wish! Wait, did you say 2003?
2003.
Really?
January 10th, 2003.
How would I guessed earlier? I would have guessed 2000.
So, what's funny is, in the same year, my next one that I'm going to talk about after this, it was in the same year. But we'll get there when we get there. This is You Wish. This has the Alan Twitty from Even Stevens. It has Miranda from Lizzie McGuire.
Yep.
And it has that kid who was in
Spencer Breslin.
He was in who?
Spencer Breslin.
Yeah, he was in the Santa Claus movies.
And Cat in the Hat.
Yeah, but more importantly, at this time, the Santa Claus movies.
Yeah.
So if one of them is the famous one, I think I'd have to give it to him.
It is him, but technically speaking, this was... I remember this one. I remember all the marketing for this one. This one is very much supposed to be... It was supposed to be a vehicle for... I forget the actor's name. But the main guy.
AJ Trouth.
Yeah. It was supposed to be a vehicle for him. Like, they were going to turn him into a thing, and then he just didn't. He didn't catch on.
Yeah.
This movie didn't do very well. I like this movie.
I like this movie. Apparently, did you know, fun fact, based on a book.
Really?
It's based on a novel. It's called If I Had One Wish. It's exactly, it is the same as this.
Really?
Except he hold on, I'll bring it up, and it's like a 2-second blurb here. But yeah, it's basically just the same thing. Teenager named Alec Lansing, whose little brother Stevie is always getting him in trouble. One day, an old woman grants Alec one wish for his kindness to her. And he uses that wish to wish that his little brother had never been born. To his horror, it comes true, and no one else remembers Stevie. He does. His life, in some ways, are better. He's guilt-stricken and tries to save his brother. Which is the same as the movie. That's what happens in the movie.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's got, alternate universe stuff, alternate timeline stuff, I guess, technically. So that's fun. It's definitely one of the shorter ones, 84 minutes.
Really?
Yep.
Oh. I thought that was longer
84
than that.
minutes.
Interesting.
Nope, it's one of the shorter ones.
Interesting.
Even Steven's movie was longer than this one. But I like this one, and the portrayals are fun, and that being said, I have questions about the magic. So he wishes for his brother to never be born, but his brother is punted into a different family and becomes a TV star. That's not being born. He's still born.
Right? Technically,
technically. He's born to a different family, which, again, how does that work?
Also,
that's not how being born works. It wouldn't look the same.
Work. Yeah, I know. It's not how genetics work.
He wouldn't be the same person. That's not how that works. But, it's fun. You've got, I guess she goes by Lelaine. She doesn't have a last name. The girl who plays Miranda. You keep in mind that this was January 10th, 2003, because, just keep that in mind. I don't really have much more to say about it. This one's most of these are pretty straightforward. They're by the numbers.
See, I picked all the weird ones. All the weird difficult ones.
Yeah, apparently. I didn't.
So my next one is a movie called... So there's a trio of brothers that are going to come back a couple times. The
Lawrence brothers.
The Lawrence brothers. I might as well explain who they are. Back in the 90s, they were a trio of brothers who were famous. Joey Lawrence was very famously on Blossom. He was on Blossom. Jordan would know Matthew Lawrence as Jack on Boy Meets World. And
I think he was on Mrs. Doubtfire before that.
He was also Mrs. Doubtfire. And Andy Lawrence, you wouldn't know he was the voice of T.J. Detweiler on Recess. And the three of them were on a sitcom called Brotherly Love. A sitcom I have fond memories of. They were really famous in the 90s. And in the 2000s, they really thought that, especially Andy Lawrence, they thought that he was going to pick up and be something. And none of them really did for some reason. They have made allegations as to why those reasons are. I will not address those, but so seemingly for me as a viewer, they just kind of fell off the planet. Anyway, this was a Andy Lawrence vehicle. So this was a movie starring. It's in 2004. He's not an adult, but he's an older teenager at this point. He no longer sounds like teenage T.J. Detweiler.
What's this one called?
Going to the Mat.
Going to the Mat.
Do you remember Going to the Mat?
Not specifically, but I can infer from the name that it has to do with wrestling.
Yes, it's Andrew Lawrence is a blind kid who is a athlete. He plays basketball or whatever. He moves schools to go to a new school, and he joins the wrestling team. I'll let you decide who is the most famous people in this. Obviously, it's got Andrew Lawrence in it. Wayne Brady is in there as a music teacher who is also blind.
Jurassic Park.
It's got Wayne Brady. You're thinking Wayne,
Jurassic Park.
No, you're thinking of Wayne Knight. Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady was
football star.
No.
Or is he? He was in The Weekenders. He does the theme song.
Yes, but he's also on something else.
I mean, he's also on Whose Line Is It?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you were thinking Jurassic Park is Wayne Knight.
Right.
But yeah, he's in this as a blind music teacher who's kind of a dick.
Got my Waynes mixed up.
He's got a really this one is legit a good movie. The performance from Andy Lawrence is really good. Wayne Brady puts in a performance that's way better than it has any right to be. He has a monologue in this movie that is legit good. Like some of the wrestling, I mean, it looks good. It's very much. Oh yeah, and also I forget his name. I know his name, but Cleo Thomas. He's in Holes. He's Zero in Holes. Is also in it.
Okay.
He becomes friends with Andy Lawrence, and they join the wrestling team together. And he's in a lower weight class. And yeah, it's about as cliche a sport movie as it can get. He starts off at the bottom. Everyone on the team fucking hates him because he's a East Coast elitist prick who is just arrogant. And he, as he goes through the year, develops friendship. Sorry to my East Coast friends. I realized as I said that. But that's what he is.
Hey, you didn't say that it was true. You said that's what he was perceived as.
Well, that's what he's acting like. And so yeah, everyone initially hates his fucking guts, and he works his way on to the wrestling team, and he has a love interest whose dad is the wrestling coach. And yeah, he slowly becomes their friend. There's a rival character who they get into conflict, and then they become friends at the end. And it's all really uplifting, and it's honestly a good movie. Like it's legit. I was surprised. I was like, this is actually a good movie. Like, but it also feels like this was a theatrical movie that got punted onto Disney. That it was gonna be a vehicle for him, and they were like, let's just put it on Disney Channel. But I was surprised. I was surprised by how good it was. Like for made for TV Disney Channel, they did not have to go this hard.
I understand exactly what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that you have nothing more to say about this, and I should move on to my next one.
I did. That's why I stopped speaking.
See, I can pick up the signals that you're putting down.
I knew you would.
So my last rapid fire, the last one of the week, Justin, is the Even Stevens movie. So you remember how I gave the date earlier, the January 2003? Well, this came out in June 13th, 2003. So the guy who played Alan Twitty went off and did his own movie, and then in a quick turnaround of a couple months came back to be Alan Twitty in this movie.
I suspect that's probably why he's not in this movie a ton. In fact, thinking on it, I think that is why he's not in this movie a ton.
I don't think so. I think he finished that one and then did this one because his hair is short in this one, and his hair is long. Well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, no, you're right. I think so because there's parts in that movie when he's in the other world where his hair is short like it is in this one.
Yep.
So I think he was filming them at the same time.
Probably. I mean, he could have been wearing a wig.
I don't think so.
You don't
maybe.
Think, you don't think that You Wish had wig money?
More just it didn't look like a wig.
Also, real quick before you get into
and I could believe that they did those scenes first, and then when this one started, they cut his hair.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why. That's why in the in the older universe, his hair is different.
The one thing I meant to mention about a lot of these movies, beyond the fact that not much happens in them for large portions of them, the budgets are low. So quite often there's one location, maybe two. One location for most of the movie, and this is one of those.
This is one of those. This one's a quote unquote desert island.
Oh, yeah, this is a show,
when really,
movie.
Yeah. So this falls into one of the previously mentioned categories, which is just show the movie. Even Stevens was very popular.
Oh, super popular. This is the series finale, I believe.
Super popular, and this is considered the series finale. But one of the things that I find funny in it, and come at me in the comments, but I didn't go to middle school. I had elementary school, and then I had high school, and I don't remember having like a big send-off ceremony at the end of elementary. Not in the way that they do this, where
with caps and gowns.
Yeah, Ren, like they have a graduation from
there was an element
junior
of
high
pageantry to it, but like you got
they don't have caps and gowns, and they don't treat it like it's graduating from high school.
Like we got fancy sweaters, and we got to go to a grad lunch, and like we had our own special dance, but like that they called the grad dance, but it wasn't.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
It wasn't caps
same.
and gowns and ceremony. Not that I remember anyway. Maybe there was.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
I could have completely blocked that out. It's definitely within the realm of possibility.
So when they have that in the beginning, and like the entire reason why they want to go on this vacation is because like they're like, this is the last time the entire family's gonna get to spend together, and it's like, sure, Donnie's going off to college, but I just don't.
Wait, Donnie
He
wasn't
feels
like an
like-
adult man?
No, he was supposed to in the show. He was supposed to be in high school.
Wait, he was supposed to be in high school?
All I know is in this one, he's soon leaving for college.
God,
so I'm
goes to show how much of that show I
interpreting
remember.
I'm interpreting that to mean that in the show he was supposed to be in high school.
It's been quite a while since I watched Even Stevens. That just goes to show how little I remember about that show.
And so that's one of the things that's funny about watching this movie as an adult is there's a lot of like they'll cut to certain characters where it's like I have a vague recollection of the character, but like I don't actually remember the character if that makes any sense.
Nope, absolutely
So, like,
made sense. Yep.
So like one of the characters that Twitty and the girl that Steven likes, whose name I don't remember, they go to the friend who's like the loser friend that I guess they're only friends with in the show when they need something from him, and I think he's rich because in this one he has a boat, and like they're like, we need you to take us on your boat to Catalina because it's like just off the coast, and I'm just like, man, that kid's parents are grossly negligent if they're just letting him drive off with their boat, or they're there and we never see them, in which case they're also negligent because they allow the kids, Twitty and the girl, to sail off in a dinghy towards the shore without any adult supervision. So like no matter what, that kid's parents are grossly negligent. But he's an example of a character where it's like, I feel like he's a bigger character on the show than I remember. Or there's the one character who is like, I vaguely remember him as being Ren's rival, but I don't specifically remember anything about him.
I just remember he was he was a dick. That's all I remember about him.
Yeah.
That's
And so there's a number of characters that are like that, where it's like, I have a vague recollection. And so my point of saying all this is that if this is supposed to be a movie in and of like on its own kind of thing, then it's bad in that regard.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know who those characters are, but they're clearly expecting you, if you know, or if you're watching the Even Stevens movie, to have watched Even Stevens. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, and another thing when it comes to these movies based on the show, this one is less guilty of it. I find. Where it's like this, where this feels like no, this could have been an episode of the show, but it's where it's like it's like, oh, we have to raise the stakes to, like, great example, Recess the movie, where it's like this is not a great representation of what this show is.
No.
Rugrats,
Usually,
another
yeah.
example.
Usually, well, but to be fair, that's in the case of the theatrical ones, like the Recess one, that's a good thing.
Yeah, they have to
I don't
justify
want
that
it.
budget. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't want it to just be an episode of the show, the movie. This was on TV. It's less egregious. But if I'm going to the theater, I want it to feel like a movie version.
I think this came out a year or like a little bit after the show had ended, because I just remember just being really stoked for this for some reason.
Yeah, I think it was like a year. Hold on, let's find out. But I think it was.
They came back to do it.
Oh, I mean, according to this, Even Stevens originally aired on Disney Channel from June 17th, 2000 to June 2nd, 2003. And then the movie came out June 13th, 2003.
Oh, so they made it during the run of the show.
No, directly after.
Oh, so I guess it really is the finale then.
Like the show ended June 2nd, and then the movie premiered on June 13th. So they would have worked on it while they were still finishing the show.
Yeah.
One thing that so you talk about who is the famous one in this.
I mean, Tim Meadows is number one.
Well, I was gonna say, Tim Meadows is the big one. But other than the cast of the show itself, which the show was very big, so the cast, of course, would have been to the point where they all appear under the starring section. Shia LaBeouf appears to get top billing, which makes sense because he was like the star of the show. My one thing with this show, with this movie rather, is I'm like, so typically you have to like get permission from the family before you put them on the show, like on
Oh
air.
no, you don't have to get
Like you can record them, but you have to get them to sign off on it before it goes to air.
Oh, before it goes to air, yeah, absolutely. You would have to, before you put it on there, get their permission. But no, you could film them without their permission.
No, sure, but I'm saying in this movie they don't. They just put it directly to air.
Oh.
They don't get their permission. They stream it literally to air.
Oh, then yeah. If I were the Steve,
I would sue.
I would sue.
I'm like, especially because I'm like, I think the dad's a lawyer or the mom's a lawyer. One of them is a lawyer. Lawsuit. Can you spell lawsuit?
Say it with me now. Lawsuit.
Lawsuit. That's the Even Stevens movie. It's one that I definitely remember enjoying at the time, but this time around it was it was fine.
So, Jordan, I'm gonna really tax you, Jordan. Do you remember the famous Jet Jackson?
As previously mentioned, no.
So here's what's interesting about the famous Jet Jackson, Jordan, is now we went in this week.
Clearly, he's not that famous because I've never heard of him.
Fully expecting to not have to download, procure a movie, this week. It was all going to be on Disney Plus. But you'll never guess, Jordan, the famous Jet Jackson is not on Disney Plus.
Dun, dun.
And so I watched Famous Jet Jackson, the movie, which was also not on Disney Plus. Now here's what's really interesting about this show. Is it was technically not produced by Disney. It was just licensed by Disney, which is why it's not on Disney Plus. I thought it wasn't on Disney Plus because tragically, the gentleman who plays Jet Jackson took his own life, very sadly.
So wait, it didn't? It wasn't made by Disney?
It wasn't made by Disney. No, it's actually a Canadian produced show.
But it came out on Disney Channel.
Yes, they used to air it on Disney Channel, but it wasn't actually. It was actually produced in Canada. It's a Canadian show.
So it's not a Disney Channel original movie then.
It is. The movie is a Disney Channel. It aired on Disney Channel, so it is technically a Disney Channel original movie. It counts. It was on the list.
Right.
But what's interesting about it is this movie, directed by Sean Levy. Levy, who you may recognize as the director of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Levi? Oh, snap!
Yeah, he turns out is Canadian.
That is interesting.
I know, I didn't know that.
That is something that I was not aware of.
He got his start in television, and children's television. He is largely responsible for this show. So the plot, I guess I should tell you what the famous Jet Jackson is about. The show is about Jet Jackson. He's an actor. He's a child actor on a show called Silverstone, where he plays a spy working for I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's MOM. It's a spy agency, and he has decided to bring the production of the show to his hometown, so he can go to school and be a regular kid. And so the plot of the show is just...
So it's Hannah Montana.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, except for they know he's famous, and they know who he is. And
so it's Jake Ryan's starring in Hannah Montana.
Kinda, yeah. And so the plot of it is, the plot of the show is basically the shenanigans that arise from him trying to balance the life of being a celebrity on a television show versus being a regular kid. And so the movie I'm guessing, based upon... And this is what's funny... I realized as I was watching this movie, I remembered nothing about this show. I don't remember a single character. I don't remember any of the relationships. I remember nothing about it beyond the basic premise of it. Because it kept introducing characters, and it does that thing where this is the movie version, so it acts as though you've watched the show, and you know who these characters are, and I didn't know who any of them were. And I was like, oh, here's the best friend character. Oh, here's the love interest who they seem to have a crush on each other, but they don't know. And part of the plot of this movie is he stands her up for homecoming or prom. He stands her up for prom. And they're doing like, oh, these characters are finally going out thing. So I think it's like the show is like clearly, oh, they do a will they, won't they thing, I guess. Anyway, Jet Jackson is tired of doing this double life, being on the show and being a regular kid. So he can't decide what he wants to do. And on the show, Silverstone is tired of being Silverstone. He wants to be a regular person. He doesn't want to be a super spy. And the bad guy of the in fiction show has created this interdimensional technology, and in the show you see what's happening in the movie. You see what's happening in the Silverstone universe via them filming the show. So they cuts to them. They'll be cut, and then he's regular Jet Jackson. But all of the plot stuff that's happening in the Silverstone world is told via them shooting the show. And so then the Silverstone people get this interdimensional machine or whatever, and it gets activated somehow, and Jet Jackson gets thrown through the portal into the Silverstone world, and Silverstone gets ejected into the real world, and they swap places. And
Okay.
the rest of the movie, they don't really interact, like, at all. The rest of the movie is now Silverstone is in Jet Jackson's world, and it's him becoming... He meets all of the various characters that are on the show, the dad, the mom, the grandma, all of the students, and there's this really funny running bit where he keeps running into what I'm guessing is the Minion character on the spy show, but he's just this regular guy, and he keeps terrorizing him because he thinks he's this evil bad guy. So he keeps feeling, like, at one point he tackles him to the ground, and he starts trying to beat him up because he thinks he's this villain. And at the end, by the end of the movie,
you know what it's making me think of is that Fat Albert movie.
Kind of, but if sort of. So the one half of the movie is Silverstone learning to be human and learning to love and learning to have feelings for people.
He needs to be human.
Yeah, and at a certain point, the great or the grandma realizes that he's not actually Jet Jackson and is really nice to him or whatever, and he accidentally inadvertently gets the show shut down because they're like, "Oh, do you want to be Silverstone?" He's like, "No, I don't want to be Silverstone anymore." In the meantime, the B plot of the movie is Jet Jackson is now in Silverstone's world, and he's trying to stop the bad guy whose evil plan is to use his dimension technology to shrink down cities and put them into his world, which is just like a globe where he can look like in on them. And his evil plot has nothing to do with the real world. He doesn't want to come to the real world. At no point does he go to the real world. There's no threat of him coming to the real world. The only reason why they even remotely cross over is towards the end of the movie, it's revealed that the network wants to kill off Silverstone to do like a big dramatic send-off. And so he gets the pages and he sees that Silverstone is going to walk into a trap. But Silverstone is Jet Jackson. But the movie never makes it clear as to whether or not the writers are impacting what's happening in the Silverstone world, or if what Jet Jackson is doing is impacting the writers in the real world. It's really confusing. And they're just
Sounds like that.
two completely separate movies that have nothing to do with each other. And then at the end, Silverstone decides to go and save Jet Jackson. And he sends Jet Jackson back, and I'm like, oh, are they seriously not going to do a team up and stop the bad guy? This is where it ends? And it actually managed to fake me out. I was like, oh, this is really lame and anticlimactic. And then he reads the final pages where he sees that Silverstone's going to walk into a trap and the bad guy's going to kill him. And he jumps in and he saves them. And the action is in the Silverstone universe is, you could tell this came out in like 2002, 2001, and you could tell it's after the Matrix because it looks like the Matrix. Like, you know how the Matrix, like they're all wearing leather and sunglasses, and it's that low lighting that looks like it looks like the Matrix. Like, it's a very obvious the Matrix. And the bad guy, he has this thing, this crystal that he can like rip holes in the universe and walk through it. And like the visual is really cool. Like it looks cool, but it's from a completely different movie. And so the Silverstone bits feel like, once again, it was like a science fiction action movie that they slapped into this Jet Jackson movie. Because that's not what the show is. The show is a single camera sitcom, like in the vein of like a Young Sheldon. Like that's what it is. It's not it's not an action show. And the bits where they're together are bad. Like the acting is bad. Like it does that thing where they're doing pauses to leave room for him to say the other version of him's dialogue, but it makes the pacing of the conversation awkward. So it's very clear that there's not two people there. It feels like a special effect.
Got it.
But it was weird. Very strange movie. But very much it was like, to your question earlier, does this work as its own thing? No, kind of. It feels like it's the finale to a show I didn't watch, which is what it is.
Right.
So no, I was kind of lost. A lot of these character dynamics felt like it was paying off dynamics that feels like it should mean something, but didn't. That's it.
Is that all you have to say about that one?
Jet Jackson the movie. What a weird time.
Well, that segues nicely into my first half scene, which was Kim Possible movie, So the Drama. And I find it funny because, like, on Wikipedia, even on the poster that they have here for it, it's not called Kim Possible the movie, So the Drama. It's literally Kim Possible movie, So the Drama.
That movie is so the drama.
That amuses me to no end.
Fun fact about that movie: it's very much meant to be the series finale to Kim Possible.
No, we were gonna get there. I was gonna mention that. It's a 2005 movie, romantic action comedy film.
I mean, and
that's just what it's described as here. And so, this was probably the shortest thing I watched all week. I can't remember if this was shorter or Phineas and Ferb. I'm pretty sure this one was. Only 68 minutes in the original version. Interestingly, there's apparently an extended edition which is 71 minutes. I'm not sure which version I saw on Disney Plus. To say what you were gonna say, this was gonna originally be the series finale for Kim Possible, and so in the question of does this work as its own movie, kind of, but also not really, because it just feels like the show.
Kind of. The stakes are a bit higher. It definitely
a little bit, but also kind of not. It very much still feels like a Draken plot, but I think it needed like a couple more minutes, maybe. I don't know, but feels very rushed, I will say.
Yeah.
What with being only 68 minutes.
Oh yeah. But I mean, to be fair, I just don't know that they were ever gonna get. It was ever gonna get an hour and a half, although it deserves.
Hour and a half? I think it could have. If you had extended some of the scenes, had a little bit more stuff there. I don't know. I think you could have, but I was one of those people who, when Ron and Kim
I was so fucking stoked
at the end of this, it was so satisfying, and I was so stoked, and it was a weird sensation.
Nice
because
guys
it was like
don't finish last.
Well, it was the first time I
remember.
remember, even still being like a young man, it was the first time that I remember being happy for a cartoon.
Right.
Like, I was like,
Good
fuck
for
yeah,
them.
Ron. He escaped the friend zone.
Right.
Good guy sidekick Ron, finally. Nice guys don't finish last, and it was a weird kind of
hell yeah.
Moment.
We get the cheerleader every once in a while.
And then it was also, Kim Possible was so popular, and this was so popular that Disney renewed, and there was a 23 episode fourth season,
Yes,
which Disney did not do at the time.
Nope. And also,
Disney very much had a 3-season death run.
Yep. Although I would say that the actual series finale leaves something to be desired. This is a better series finale, to be fair.
I think this was a better one. Yeah, the old one. I think what was it? They're in a car and they drive off to get together or something.
I think it ends with them graduating, and then the final scene is Draken and Dementor talking about it being like, "So why are you blue?"
I just remember it being bad.
It was like, "Oh, it's not it's all right."
Or certainly not as good as this one.
No.
But yeah, then I do appreciate that in that 4th season. Yeah, then they're a couple and like they have to deal with the not fallout, but like, you know, side effects of that. So like I saw a clip which popped up on my TikTok the other day,
Changes their whole
which
dynamic.
was it absolutely does. And so like there's a scene where there's one that I saw on my TikTok where Ron walks into the store where Kim works at. He's like, "What's with all the hearts?" And Monique, one of the sidekick characters, is like, "I'm just gonna go to the back room," and Kim is trying to not so subtly hint like it's Valentine's Day, and at a certain point Ron's like, "Nope, sorry, don't celebrate it. Never had a girlfriend on. Oh, I have a girlfriend on Valentine's Day. Oh my god!" And it's just, yeah, it's a very, very much changes the dynamic, and it all starts with this, and this movie really, I think, tackles it quite, I mean, in as good of a way as you can in a 68-minute quote-unquote movie. I will say, when it comes to Kim Possible, I do find it interesting that Disney wants to consider, like, continue considering this one as a movie, and maybe it was because it was supposed to be the end. Maybe that gives it special status.
Maybe.
But as opposed to the one where it's the time travel stuff, which they've relegated, they've like deleted that one from movie status. Like when you go on the Wikipedia for Disney Channel original movies, it doesn't show up, but you know it's considered one. Right. But then on Disney Plus, it's just under the show as episodes, because when it was re-released, it was re-released as in syndication as episodes. Just did weird the erasure of that from history. I wasn't gonna bring that up, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
There's really not much more to say about this one. I mean, Christy Carlson Romano's killing it as Kim Possible. There's a reason why that show was so popular.
I mean, my favorite
Will Friedle is killing it as Raw Unstoppable. There's a reason why that show was so popular.
My favorite moment is at the end where, I mean, I'd be fair, that movie does Draken a decent. Yeah, it's also why I'm as much as I love that last season, and I enjoy the bits where it's like, yeah, you get to see Ron's insecure, but the fact that he's now the dork dating the cheerleader, like I enjoy that dynamic. This movie definitely does Draken a service by making him seem actually threatening and smart and cunning and like effective as a villain and competent. But my favorite moment is at the end where he's like, "Say my name."
Ron, Unstoppable.
That moment is very cathartic, because I'm pretty sure up until that point he's never got his name right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and it's been a build-up this entire time, and that's where it's like there's been multiple build-ups this entire time, and that's just one of them, and it's great. It is really, had this been the last Kim Possible thing, it would have been a real nice button hook.
Yeah, satisfying conclusion that wasn't a conclusion. I think that's the name of the YouTube video.
But that's Kim Possible, so the drama.
Satisfying conclusion that wasn't a
Kim
conclusion.
Possible movie, so the drama. Not Kim Possible the movie, or not the Kim Possible movie. Kim Possible movie.
Jordan.
I don't know why I'm so fixated on that, but punctuation bothers me.
Hey, grammar matters, y'all. Jordan, should we do the problematic one first or second? I'm just kidding. They're both problematic in their own right. Well, we'll do the basketball one first. Jordan, my next one is we'll end with the really bad one, the really problematic one. Jordan, do you remember
the Muffin Man?
Jet Jackson the Movie? No, I asked that question. Do you remember the movie Double Teamed?
That one I do remember vaguely. I know that it has two blonde girls who want to be basketball stars. And from the clip that you've shown me, they do not look 14.
Oh yeah, that's what's okay. It's about 2 14. It's about two 14-year-old girls who want to play high school basketball. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do it. Trying to get through it. And yeah, no, I didn't know they were supposed to be 14 until my friends pointed that out. And yeah, they're two very grown... Okay, here's the thing, right? Okay, no, they're two very grown adult women playing what is supposed to be 14-year-old girls. And here's the thing, right? Most of the people in these movies are adults playing kids. I think Frankie Muniz might be the only time a kid was playing a kid. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, they're 18, 19-year-olds playing 16-year-olds. That's fine.
I mean,
I get.
I'm pretty sure in Cadet Kelly, I'm pretty sure they were teenagers at the time, if it's any consolation.
I think Christy Carlson Romano was 18. But regardless, they're close enough where it's like, they're playing an age that's believably teenager-ish.
Passable.
They're passable as teen. Like I'm pretty sure Ricky Ullman was probably an adult when he did Pixel Perfect, and that's fine. But he believably looks like a teenager. They don't. They're adults, and it's made all the more noticeable by the fact that they do multiple crowd shots where they're next to actual children. And,
yeah, that makes it egregious.
And my childhood memory of this, to be fair, this is where I'm like, I have to approach this as though I'm a child, because when I was a child, like, this movie came out in it's 2001, I think. Hold on. It was later than I thought it was, but it takes place in 1985. Hold on. Nope. Hold on. That's not the right one. 2002.
I'm holding on.
2002, which is way later than I thought. I thought that was a 1999 one for sure. But when I watched it as a kid, I assumed they were 18. And I'm like, they don't play, as an adult, they don't play a believable 18. But as a child, that's what 18-year-olds, like, that's what, when you're like 11 or 12, that's what older high school kids look like. They just look massive. And they're supposed to be particularly massive. But I messaged my friends who are they're twins and they're very tall. So I had a feeling they'd seen this movie. And they're the ones who said they were supposed to be 14. And I was like, bullshit. There's no way. And the movie does try to lampshade it a bit by having some of the girls on their basketball team also be adults. But it makes it really weird because none of the stuff where they're acting like teenage girls works because it immediately pulls me out that they're adults. Also, you never see them play a basketball game. No, that's not true. You see them kind of play parts of a basketball game, but you pretty much never see them play basketball. And this is where I'm like, to be fair, I never participated in high school sports in any meaningful fashion, but my memory of high school sports was nobody ever went to them. Like, I just remember nobody...
I wouldn't know. I never went to them.
I think I went to like one or two, and I just remember nobody ever really went to them. But that's where I'm like, maybe they did, and like maybe they were a big deal when I was in high school, and I just missed it, or maybe it's an American thing. But like, yeah, there's a point where they're just playing each other, like, and there's the entire school shows up to watch them play basketball, and they're just playing each other, and I'm like, this doesn't feel realistic. It also pretends that the WNBA is popular or that anybody watches it. Ooh, that was probably sexist.
You're gonna get us in trouble again, Justin.
But like they come out at the movie ends, right? It does a flash forward that never happened. These two women. This movie is sort of biographical in that it's about two real women who went on to be in the WNBA. But not for very long, and never at the same time. But the movie ends, there's this running bit where the one sister's like, once a loser, always a loser, basically. It's once second best, always second best. And so there's a bit at the end where they like face off on different WNBA teams. They do a thing where they slowly walk out and they show the logo repeatedly as though you're supposed to recognize it, even though it's a WNBA league, WNBA team. You've never seen this before in your life. You've never watched a WNBA game in your life.
No, not once.
But that never happened. They never faced off. They never played together at the same time, and they weren't even like they played for the WNBA at completely different times.
Got it. So, do you think this was one that was originally script for a quote unquote real movie?
I think
or
so. I think so. Probably, yeah. It was a biopic for these two women. I mean, to be fair, it's okay. Like I'm joshing, but the acting's decent. The two sisters are quite good. They have a number of good scenes. There's a really good. They have a really good. The dad has a really good character arc about learning to let the kids be kids. The mom is quite good. She who's trying to like balance the dad's desire for them to do sports because they're so freakishly tall. Initially they start off as
budget.
Yeah, initially they start off as volleyball players, but then they join the basketball team, and they're both just really good at basketball. And so trying to, but the one sister wants to be an actress and trying to balance that, and yeah, it's a sort of a fairly cliched sports movie, but it's good. It's again a pretty darn good movie. Like it's well acted. It's definitely, I think it's like the crossover of categories. The Hallmark sports movie. It's the Hallmark, where they were putting effort in at this point. We're going to talk about them not putting in effort later, but they're still putting in effort at this point. Some of these are lazy. That's all I'll say. Anyway, that's Double Team.
So
That name sounds
okay.
naughty.
I mean, okay, we're not going to acknowledge that.
Hard Days Rockin'.
I will admit, because you said the cutoff was 2005. I cheated.
How dare you cheat, sir? I would never do that. I would never
cheated
cheat.
Because fuck you. I like this movie and I wanted to watch it. I watched Phineas and Ferb the movie Across the Second Dimension.
Yeah.
They called it the movie. They used the right terminology.
That movie felt like it was supposed to go to the theaters, and at one point during production it was gonna go to theaters, and then Phineas and Ferb dipped in popularity and they got nervous and shoved it on TV. Even though they insist it was always a Disney Channel original movie, does not feel that way.
Feels too theatrical for that,
It feels
but also
way too theatrical.
It rides that line of the animation is it is what it is, to the point where
it looks better than the show. It looks more expensive than the show. I will give it that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's nice enough where it gets away with the TV budget of, like, I believe it was made for TV, but I believe that it could have also have been considered for theaters. It rides that line.
I sort of disagree, because I think the climax of that movie looks really good.
The biggest reason why I think it was supposed to be, in theaters, I think it was supposed to be 3D at points. Because there's a joke that they made. First off, the movie, they call it Across the Second Dimension, and like within the first couple frames, they're like Inglorious 2D. So I think it was gonna be 3D, and then it wasn't, and now they're poking fun at that fact. And then there's also a part in it where evil second Doofenshmirtz, he's in the sleeve of his robot.
Doofenshmirtz.
Yeah, the second one. The second dimension version. He's in the sleeve of his robot, and he's like, I'm coming right at you, and he punches, and it comes right at the screen. I think that moment was supposed to be 3D.
Oh! When you mean 3D, you don't mean like CGI. You mean like 3D.
Yeah.
Oh! Sorry, I'm sorry.
Because this came out in 2011, so this was
that completely. I'm like, because I wasn't gonna contradict you. I was gonna be like, why would they make this into a CGI 3D animated movie?
No.
You mean like 3D?
Red lens, blue lens, 3D.
Oh, interesting. Okay. To be fair, I think I've only ever seen this once, so I cannot disagree with you on that. That makes sense.
I can't prove it, but it's either that it was going to be, or they are directly making fun of what was popular at the time, which is also on brand for Phineas and Ferb. So I could believe that they're just making fun of it. But no, this movie, it checks all the boxes. It does things you can't do in normal show.
Yeah,
sure. Phineas and Ferb teaming up with Harry.
Phineas and Ferb is that kind of show, but Theoretically.
But at the time, they didn't, and this raises the stakes.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, the second dimension characters are popular enough that they brought them back on the show at a certain point.
Did they?
I don't remember if it was a special or if it was a like actual just of the show.
Oh yeah, you're right. They do bring back evil Doofenshmirtz again, I believe, right?
Yeah, they bring back evil Doofenshmirtz, and I believe they bring back Second Candace.
Really?
I believe so, because I just know that there's a scene, and maybe it's like we're peeking in on them and they don't come back to our universe and we're just seeing their universe. But I know there's a scene. I remember there being a scene where second Doofenshmirtz meets with second Vanessa and second ex-wife. I believe he's still married to her in that universe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do recall seeing something like that on TikTok.
I don't know the actual full depth of it, but I know that Doofenshmirtz one happens.
Doofenshmirtz.
It's Doofenshmirtz.
It's Smirtz with a Z.
Smurfa.
No, but Doofenshmirtz with a Z.
Doofenshmirtz.
Smurf.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm not gonna fight you on this. We'll say that. I mean, it is spelt that way. I just don't know how it's pronounced.
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. After
hours. But I really like this movie. I will fully admit. Phineas and Ferb was a little bit after my time. I didn't grow up watching it. It wasn't from my childhood. No. It is a thing that I have retroactively gained appreciation for. I know I would have enjoyed it as a child. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's definitely something that I would have gotten enjoyment from. I like the music, like even in the show itself.
I do like the music.
I think they do a very good job of that.
Agent P.
He's a semi-aquatic animal of action. That's all I remember.
My favorite thing about the new season is how Stacy is now an agent. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's funny because she knows. She found out.
Agent Teen. It's funny.
But this movie does a good job of poking fun, having parody kind of stuff, references back to the show.
I mean, it has one of my all-time favorite verb lines, which is I always thought that you couldn't spell platypus without us. Well, you could, but then it would just be platypus.
One of my favorites is
that was funny.
The point after they find out that he's Agent P, and Dr. D is like, I just realized you peed on my couch. That was a conscious choice. and Perry does the embarrassed shrug. There's a lot of stuff in there where it's it's genuinely funny, and it makes me laugh when I watch it. When they're parachuting down, he's like, he's a secret agent. You're a secret agent. He's a secret agent. He hands him the pamphlet. He's like, so you found out your pet is a secret? Just watch your pamphlet.
I want your pamphlet.
There's one of the things about Phineas is there's very few times in the show where he gets angry, but he's angry for a portion of this one, and I say justifiably so, right? And it works perfectly. The parachute falls down on top of them, and he's like, he has his own logo. Oh, we are not done with this conversation. It's delightful.
That's funny.
It's delightful. It was probably
simply delightful.
One of my favorite ones that I watched this week for sure.
Simply delightful.
That is Phineas and Ferb the movie Across the Second Dimension.
Oh Lord, okay. Time to talk about the problematic movie, Jordan. So it's time to talk about that big Shia LaBeouf shaped elephant in the room. Okay, at least I assume it's problematic. Now here's my We're talking about
Justin, you never go full. Finish the line.
No, we're not. We're not saying the word. We're not.
Justin,
no, we're not.
Finish the line.
We're talking about True Confessions. This came out in. It's definitely Shia LaBeouf is on Even Stevens. 2002. Came out 2002.
Oh, yeah.
And
He's
it's
like
about,
right smack in the middle of even
right
Stevens.
smack in the middle. So he plays Eddie, who is the twin brother of a girl named True, who is a budding filmmaker, actress, wants to be famous, whatever. And they are twins. And when they were in the womb, he suffered from some form of oxygen deprivation, which has caused him to have developmental disabilities, which causes him to act like a child. Sort of manifests, looks an awful lot like autism.
Mental retardation.
They can't say the R word. No R word.
Why?
Because you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say the R word.
Okay. I mean, it's a fact for some people. But okay.
Anyway. And yeah, the performance is very good. Everyone's performances is very good. It is a well-made movie. It's a well-acted movie that I think is problematic. It felt problematic because, yeah, it's one of those, like, in retrospect feels problematic because it.
I don't know. I argue
LaBeouf,
it always felt problematic. I thought it was problematic when I watched it as a kid.
Shia LaBeouf is playing. He's not mentally handicapped, and he's playing mentally handicapped. And it's a good performance, but he is not mentally handicapped. And I don't know anybody, and I am not autistic, at least so far as I know. I cannot speak, but it felt in poor taste to me. And there's a lot that one of the lines in this is, he can't be cured, but he's one of the happiest guys I know, in reference to his illness. She keeps calling it an illness. But it's just the way at one point she's crying. She's like, I'll grow up and get older, and Eddie will always be the same. And she's crying as though it's this, like, and it's like the dad is villainized because they constantly baby him and treat him like he's a child and refuse to, like, ask him to be better. And at the beginning of the movie, the dad's like, we should start asking more of him so he doesn't, regress fully. And he's treated as though he's the bad guy. And I'm sure there are obviously examples where that's not possible. But these people are human. And a lot of times they just wanted to be treated with respect and like everyone else and not like they're less than. And this movie approaches him with such a real uncomfortable condescension. And Jordan sort of hinted at it, but we haven't said it yet. They say the R word entirely too many times. Just way too many. Like a shocking amount of times considering it's a Disney movie. In 2002, it's like, this feels not okay, the amount of times they say it. And it just feels ultimately unnecessary.
Sorry, I'm trying to do the math of how old I would be in 2002.
You would have been 11. Or 10.
I was born in 91, so 2011 would be 10. So yeah, I'd be 11.
Yeah.
So I was a kid. And even I, at the time,
you were like, that's too many R words.
It
was the R word by that point.
Wrong.
You didn't. Bad. It's bad. They say it to me, and in the context with, at one point he calls himself the R word, or he calls a kite he's trying to fly the R word, and it's like, because Shia LaBeouf is not actually autistic, it reads weird and uncomfortable and awkward. And yeah, there's a bully character who says it entirely too many times. At one point, there's a scene, which is the scene I always remember. It's the reason why I always remember this movie, where a bunch of kids from the school all take turns spitting in a hat that they give to him and he wears. And she's like, what's wrong with you? But actually, what's wrong with you? No, but seriously, what's wrong with you? What jollies do you get from picking on a kid that can't fight back? Like, I get, like, when I was in school, like, that scene always bothered me, because I was always like, I get picking on me because I can fight back. Like, not even just, like, physically, I mean, like, verbally, mentally, I can fight back. But you're, like, effectively picking on a 3-year-old. Like
A 2-year-old or a 1-year-old, yeah.
well, I mean, he can talk, so he's probably closer to like a 4 or 5-year-old.
A 1-year-old can talk, or not 1-year-old, 1 grade. First grade, I more meant.
Yeah, so that's about 4 or 5-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe generously 6 or 7, I'd say. But still, like, you're picking on a kid. Like, why? What fun is it? He doesn't even know that you're being mean to him. What would you get from that? What's wrong with you? Like, yeah, and just like everyone treats this. Yeah, it's condescending. It's awful. They treat him like he's less than, and the entire time I'm like, this feels offensive. This feels in poor taste, and this feels bad. This feels problematic.
I mean,
I hate that word, but
by today's standards, it 100% is. By even that
Yeah,
time
I mean,
standards, I argue it was back then.
yeah, I'd say even in 2002, this was bad. Like, but it's a well-made movie, and by all objective merit, it is a well-acted. Like there's a scene where he gets all Shia LaBeouf is. Yeah, he's putting his everything in this performance. There's a scene where he gets lost in the library. That's just well acted. The girl's performance is incredible. The mom, the dad, like there's a really kind of not upsetting. Like, I don't know how else to, but where he's basically like, she makes this movie about Eddie that is like, yeah, when you see him having what is ostensibly an autistic meltdown in public and he's freaking out, people judge and they're like, why would you want him to be your brother? But he's also this really nice and kind and sweet, and like she gets the video of him being like, you want this apple, True? And she's like, no, I'm not hungry right now, Eddie, thank you. He's like, okay, I'm gonna leave it here for you so that when you get hungry you can come get it, okay? And she's like, thank you, Eddie. And it's like he's ultimately like a sweet guy who has moments where he gets frustrated and he breaks down, like, and that's fine. But the dad's not really in it because the dad just keeps screaming at him and yelling at him and like comes across as just like an abusive monster.
A dick.
Yeah, and so he's like, why wasn't I in the movie, really? And she's like, yeah, you don't want to. And she's like, no, I want to. I can handle it. And she's like, no, you really don't wanna. And he's like, no, but I can't. And he sees it, and then his heart breaks as he sees like, oh my god, like what am I? And so yeah, it's
I'm
like,
a monster.
I won't say it's not like effective in its performance, but yeah, just conceptually and just how it comes across. A lot of her dialogue is like, ooh man, this is. And also to finalize, they say the R word entirely too much. It's just like it's the kind of movie where like I think you can maybe, it's 2002, get away with it once, but they say it 5 times. I counted. They say it like 5 times, and it's bad. It made me flinch every time. I was like, oh, I hate this. Please don't say that word in that
5
context.
times, which is like 4.5 times too many.
Right? Wait, halftime?
Yeah, you start and then get cut off.
Oh, you get cut off. You don't actually say it. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, they just, you could have implied it.
Like,
you didn't need to say it. That's the thing.
In terms of like the bullying situation, for example, you have the worst one go like come over here, and then one of the sidekicks goes like, man, you can't say that.
Or I mean, a better one.
Or the sister comes in and is like, shut up.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, she pushes him over the bridge into the water, so he could have been like, yeah, he's a. And then she could have pushed him, and then he goes into the water. Yeah, you didn't need to. You didn't need to have characters say it in this movie. It's unnecessary. It could be implied.
Don't need the hard R.
It's weird. It's weird on a Disney Channel original movie. It was abrasive. I was like, oh, I don't like this. This feels bad. I don't like this.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the other big thing.
I know people whose feelings this would hurt, and I don't.
If this had been like a serious go to theaters, like trying to win some sort of award, that maybe I see the hard R. Because like then. you're going for a more serious audience or something, like going for Oscar bait, maybe. But even then,
yeah, I know people who that word disrespects, and I've worked with people who that word disrespects, and I won't use it. I just won't.
No.
Too many of them have been like, dude, that's not cool, to be like, yeah, I can't do it. I
haven't really heard the phrase since I was a kid.
Oh, I have. They're trying to bring it back. They're absolutely trying to bring it back, and it's awful. I never liked it. I don't think I've ever used it genuinely.
I don't think so.
Like,
I think maybe like in terms of like you're watching a show and you're like, oh, that's, like maybe when I was a kid I did, but
yeah, in the way that I like, maybe back in when I was a kid, in the way that you'd be like, that's gay, which I've stopped doing.
Yeah,
but
like you in the same way you'd be like, oh, like you're watching something and it frustrates you and you're like, oh, that's so retarded.
yeah,
Like maybe as a kid I might have done that. I haven't.
but
I don't remember the last time.
Yeah, but no, I haven't. No, I can't. Yeah, I can't use words like that because I've worked with people who deserve.
Oh, for me, it's not even that I can't use words like that. It's just there's more eloquent ways to say things.
Yeah, exactly. And then, well, yeah, and people.
There are better ways to vent your frustration than saying it like that.
People who are hurt by that word have asked me not to use it, and I respect people when they ask me things.
I mean, even if they hadn't, I'd take the high road. There's just better, more eloquent ways to say things.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, problematic movie. Anyway, that's True Confessions. Honestly, I think I know I think objectively Pixel Perfect is a worse movie, but this made me feel worse.
That's fair. I understand what you're saying. I could see why that would be the case.
It made me feel bad. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
Which one could argue is maybe the point.
Yeah, well, perhaps that could be argued.
One could argue. Anyways, do you have anything else to say about the upsetting one?
That's my last have seen.
All right, we're gonna move on to have not scenes. So you remember how we previously discussed ones that feel like they were originally full movies, like theatrical movies that were trimmed down?
Absolutely.
This feels like one of those. This came out June 27th, 1998. It's called You Lucky Dog.
I wait, 1998? Yeah, I do not remember this. I don't recognize the name either.
I had not seen this one, I'm fairly certain. But so Jack Morgan is a dog therapist. When he was famous for being able to read.
Before you jump into this, but no, you know what? I'm gonna have you describe the plot, and I'm gonna guess which category I think it fits into.
Okay, I mean I've already kind of given away one of the categories.
Keep going.
Jack Morgan is a dog therapist, once famous for being able to read his dog's mind. Jack cannot read the minds of other dogs. He still operates a canine mind-reading business, and then I'm going to skim through the rest. Not skim, but I'm going to jump through the rest of this fairly fast. Rich guy comes with his dog and is like, hey man, can you talk to my dog? Right before this scene, we've had the last guy was like not happy with his service and his inability to read his dog's mind. He's like, I'm going to go talk to the mayor and get your business shut down. Screw you, man. You're a scam artist. And then that's next. The rich guy comes in and
no, I can talk to dogs. I could just only talk to one really specific dog.
Pretty much at a certain point it becomes that. But the rich guy's dog goes into the office with Jack. And Jack is able to actually hear and understand his thoughts, although we as the audience don't.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not an anthropomorphic dog.
No, it's a dog.
It's not a talking dog movie, is what you're saying.
The dog is talking through Jack movie.
Gotcha. So
they didn't want to pay for a voiceover to voice over the dog.
So like it's more like original Dr. Dolittle where he just speaks dog. But
he speaks human and the dog is speaking in his mind.
He's speaking right. Okay, gotcha.
But for us the audience, Jack is speaking for the dog.
Gotcha. Okay, I got you.
But yeah, so he goes into the office with Jack, and connects via mind, and Jack basically freaks out and is like, "What the fuck? This hasn't happened since I was a kid." And he's like, "Nope, not doing this shit again." And hurries the rich guy's dog out, and he's like, "Sorry, sir, like I can't help you." And he's like, "Really, not at all." And he's like, "Well, he did seem to be upset by three people." And the rich guy's all like, "I know exactly who you're talking about. You've helped me a lot. Here's some money." And Jack's all like, no, I can't take your money. I didn't do a full session. He's like, no, I insist. I'm rich. Take money.
Money.
Then it's supposed to be, I don't know exactly how long, but like a week or a month or some amount of time passes. And 2 weeks later, it says, the city closes down Jack's business because, spoiler alert, the guy from the beginning of the movie actually did know the mayor and did contact him. And the mayor was like, you're a scam artist. And so he's shutting him down. And then Windsor's personal driver, who is Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
So he's the random celebrity that's in this for some reason. You're like, what are you doing in this?
Yes, he is. He comes and he's like, the lawyer wants to talk to you. Turns out Windsor, the old man, died. And the Windsor, the old guy, cut his two nephews and a niece out of his will, and leaves the dog in charge of the state, and leaves basically the Jack is the interpreter of the dog and the executor of his will, basically. I don't know if that's the proper term, but trustee, that's the word, trustee. He's the chosen trustee for Lucky's $64 million trust fund, which, as an aside, that's how you know this movie is older, because 64 million would not constitute rich these days.
Nope.
You need billions to be rich these days.
With a B.
But then, the course of the movie happens where the two nephews and a niece, they want the money. They're determined to make Jack out to be crazy. Meanwhile, every time Lucky gets excited and Jack connects with his mind, he basically becomes the dog. So there's scenes where they're tearing or chewing on bones, and Lucky gets excited, so then Jack also becomes excited and wants to chew on bones.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
This premise feels confused.
Zany stuff happens. The two nephews and a niece try to sue and get the money.
This is obviously a magical shenanigans movie.
It is.
Yeah,
it is a magical shenanigans movie. Well, kind of.
Sure, it doesn't sound like a Hallmark movie. See, the True Confessions was a Hallmark movie.
If you consider telepathy with animals to be magic, then yes.
It's close enough.
And then because I guess the two nephews and a niece lived with the uncle, which is why they got kicked out and everything got cut off, and it ends with the lawyer, who is a pretty young woman.
So she's a single female lawyer.
Yeah, with a kid, falls in love with or ends up falling in love with Jack, from what I remember, and then Jack. Because the daughter at one point in the movie wanted a puppy.
Wait, hold on just 1 second. Jack is an adult?
Jack is, he's like a 20-something, he's
really
youngish man.
These Disney Channel original movies are never allowed to have an adult protagonist. None of my movies have had an adult protagonist.
Yeah, he's an adult. That's why I say this feels like it could have just been
absolutely.
a movie. He's played by, maybe he was on Disney at the time, I'm not sure. Kirk Cameron?
Oh, yeah. Kirk Cameron's really famous.
I don't know if he was on Disney at the time.
He's a religious nutcase. He's famous.
Yeah, no, but I don't know if he was on Disney, is more what I was saying.
I don't know if he's on Disney, but he's a famous child star.
Apparently the dog had... In the cast, the dog is listed as Bogus the dog plays Lucky the dog. I think he was a well-known dog. He's a great what's the kind of dog?
Great Dane?
Not a Great Dane. Bernard? Saint Bernard?
Oh, Saint Bernard. Oh, yeah, he might have played Beethoven.
I'm too lazy to actually look it up, but I feel like it could have been. Yeah, it was a fun movie. It was definitely Disney, but like I said, it feels like one that could have been an act. I hate using the word actual movie, but a theatrical
real movie. Yeah, I know what you mean.
A theatrical movie.
A not made for TV movie. That's the point.
Yeah.
Something with a budget.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun. That's You Lucky Dog.
You lucky dog, you. Okay.
Which, as an aside, I'm pretty sure I'll double check. Interesting. Sorry. Two interesting things. One, it's funny that you say Hallmark made for television movie, because there was a 2010 Hallmark made for television movie called You Lucky Dog.
That's funny.
Came out in 2010. No, the other thing that I was going to say is I'm pretty sure it's either this one or my next one, but I'm pretty sure it was this one, is the second Disney Channel original movie.
Ooh, interesting. Sorry.
Yeah, it was. The first one was Under Wraps.
Oh, interesting. So, my first have not seen. Remember earlier we talked about the Lawrence brothers? Well, the Lawrence brothers.
I do recall.
They had a movie came out in 2011, called Jumping Ship.
2011.
2011.
Justin, how dare you cheat? I certainly have every right to judge because it's not like I also judged.
Sorry, did I say 2011?
Or cheated?
Did I say 2011?
Yeah.
I meant 2001. Sorry. Came out in 2001.
Okay.
And yeah, the only thing I knew about this movie, which I'd never seen before today, was that it was a vehicle for the Lawrence brothers, that it starred all three of them. And I thought that it was them as brothers, like they were playing brothers in this movie. And so it opens with Andy Lawrence is on a ranch, and Joey Lawrence is a rich guy. And they just kind of seem to know each other, and there seems to be this sort of established relationship. And I'm like, this feels odd. This feels like it's just like this. I don't know. Something about this feels weird. Their relationship feels established way too quick. And so then I pulled up the Wikipedia article. Turns out this movie is a sequel. It's actually a sequel to the 1999 movie Horse Sense.
Horse Sense.
Horse Sense. And so
was that a theatrical one?
No, it's another Disney Channel original one. But this one, or that one, it was just the two brothers. So the plot of this is Joey Lawrence and Andy Lawrence are cousins. Joey Lawrence is a rich asshole, out of touch, whatever. And yeah, Andy Lawrence is works on a ranch with his mom. He lives on a ranch. And Joey Lawrence is taking Andy Lawrence on vacation to Australia because they filmed this in Australia for one reason or another. I'm guessing Joey Lawrence executive produced this. Maybe they just wanted to go to Australia. I don't know. But they go to Australia under the idea that they are booking a charter boat. And they get to Australia. Oh, and also there's the ticking clock of Joey Lawrence's dad is like, if you don't get a job by the end of summer, you have to come work for me, clerking at my law firm, because I'm a lawyer. Oh yeah, the thing I forgot to mention about True Confessions, the dad's a brain surgeon. So the movie spends the whole time giving him shit for not being around, but he's a literal brain surgeon. So you know. Anyway,
of course
so Joey Lawrence and Andy Lawrence are going off to go on this charter boat, and guess what? Turns out Matthew Lawrence is actually the captain of this charter boat, and
he's El Capitano.
Yep. And so they're going off, and he's taking them to some island or whatever, and he's gonna get paid at the end. And this random
some island, that's my favorite island. I don't know about you.
This lady, she pickpockets Joey Lawrence, steals his wallet, and it turns out that this lady is one of 3 pirates, and they decide that they are gonna kidnap Joey Lawrence and hold him for ransom. And a huge chunks of this movie is just the 3 brothers on a boat. There isn't much story. There's not much happening. It's just them having emotional dialogue together on a boat. The Matthew Lawrence's character has an equally tragic backstory. they talk about how sad and they hate each other at first, and then by the end of the movie, they all bond and they love each other. It's that kind of movie. And so then eventually, the pirates catch up with them, and they're putting along, and he sees the pirates coming up on them, and they're like, he's like, it looks like these guys are following us. How can you tell? It's like, they're coming up on us really fast. They didn't radio, and they're in an inflatable dinghy, an inflatable boat. And, like, they're trying to run away, and the thing's catching up with them. And he decides to dump Joey Lawrence and Andy Lawrence on, like, a random island while he tries to, like, lead them away. And he ends up scuttling the ship, sinking it. And the rest of the movie now moves to, and this is where we talked about earlier, the lack of budget. Clearly they had enough budget to film on a boat and on an island, because then the rest of the movie is they're on an island, they're shipwrecked, and they're shipwrecked for 10 days, and it periodically cuts back to the pirates who have spent and burnt 10 days worth of boat fuel and resources looking for this guy in pursuit of some sort of ransom that they seem to think they're gonna get. And then they're otherwise completely pointless. Like, they could not be in this movie. They're unnecessary. You could completely cut out the pirates. The only reason the pirates exist is so that in the third act they come back, they find them on the island, and then they chase them around a bunch with a gun. And there's a Chekhov's cliff where they show this cliff, and Matthew Lawrence dares Joey Lawrence to jump off of it. And he's like, no, I'm not going to jump off of it. So at that point, you immediately know the movie's going to end with him jumping off of the cliff, right?
At some point in this movie, he will jump off that cliff.
He will, absolutely. Yeah.
Whether it's by his own choice or he gets pushed by someone, he is going over that cliff.
He's going to jump off that cliff, yeah. So the pirates show up, so he does that. And then they escape, and they beat the pirates, and the pirates go to jail. But otherwise, the pirates serve no point in the plot. They serve nothing. You could cut them out and just make all of the character drama surrounds the three of them and their reaction to what's happening. Like, there's a point where Joey Lawrence gets mad at Andy Lawrence because he asked Andy Lawrence to put his phone, because he's trying to get a job. He's been attached to the phone the whole trip. So he's like, okay, you take the phone, put it in my suitcase, and then I won't use it. And Andy Lawrence does it. He keeps it in his pocket, and the next scene is he's fishing, and he gets yanked overboard, and the phone goes overboard. And they eventually, once they scuttle the ship, find his suitcase. And he's like, oh, I told him to put the suitcase in the phone in the suitcase, so the phone will be in the suitcase. But it's like, but Joey Lawrence, the suitcase went in the water. And then he gets upset with him when he finds out that he dropped the phone into the water. And he's like, it's like, Joey Lawrence, even if it was in the suitcase went into the water.
The suitcase is at the bottom of the sea.
Well, even if the suitcase washed up onto the thing, and it was in the, like, it does, like, they find the suitcase and they use the
it was in the water. The salt water ruined anything in there.
Yeah, exactly. Any chance of it fucking working. So all that drama, them being stranded on this island for 10 days, doesn't need those pirates. Like, you could completely cut them out and the drama still works, and it is otherwise a good movie. It's towards the end, so it's 2002. So I think it's after Boy Meets World, Matthew Lawrence, or like towards the end of Matthew. So it's like, hunky Matthew Lawrence, like that. So he's really charming and really funny.
Yep.
Their chemistry is obviously, because they're real life brothers, their chemistry is really good. They have a lot of really good scenes together, all three of them. They all give the best performances. Like, they're putting in performances that are ultimately unnecessary for a Disney Channel original movie. It's better than it has any right to be. And I had a good time. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It kind of made me want to go back and watch the first one. I'm not going to lie. Next time we do Disney Channel original movies again, I'll probably watch the first one.
I understand. But
that's it for Jumping Ship.
That's all. That's it. That's all there is. Well, then it's time for us to go back to what year was it? 2000. The year 2000.
In the year 2000.
To watch one that I did not watch in the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
Have you ever watched The Phantom of the Megaplex?
I have actually. I have seen the Phantom of the Megaplex.
It's okay, so you have. So
Jordan, I didn't have
then
friends.
you know,
I've seen a lot of
then
these.
then you know that the famous person from this one is Mickey Rooney.
No, I mean I did. It's been a while since I've watched this movie, but I have seen it because it's basically just Phantom of the Opera.
It's loosely based on Phantom of the Opera, but yes, it is largely just Phantom of the Opera. I feel like I was gonna say if you hadn't seen this one, you of all people kind of need to, considering you worked at the theater.
I mean, yeah.
But Cold Notes version, our hero, Eat Riley, 17-year-old assistant manager at the theater. It's a 24 theater multiplex. And there's supposed to be some sort of when people premiere film premiere
When people come to watch a movie in a big event.
yeah, you know the thing,
You know
the word that I'm looking for.
You know the thing.
Premiere. And so you know they have to make sure that the night goes well, and they're waiting until it's like basically going to be like the last screening of the night, and they've got the owner, Mr. What's his face, something Meyer, and
Oscar Mayer?
the stars, sure, the stars of the movie and like the director and stuff. They're all coming to this premiere, and so everything has to go right, perfectly right. But of course, all the things are going wrong. So employees are disappearing. The projector is all blurry. Popcorn is overflowing from the machine. The senior manager has disappeared, not once but 3 times. Pretty suspicious. And so yeah. Meanwhile, Taylor's 11-year-old sister and 10-year-old brother are there. They're supposed to be watching a kids movie, but the 11-year-old sister wants to watch a horror movie. So she's like, "Hey, little brother, you stay here and watch this, and I'm gonna sneak out and go watch the thing that I'm not supposed to watch because I'm a kid and I'm gonna disobey my parents' order." And meanwhile, the mom is on a date, and so there's this whole like they keep cutting back to them, and they're trying to get to the multiplex at a certain point because the brother was supposed to drive his siblings home during his break time, but things are going crazy, so he can't do that. So there's a point where he goes down to the payphones, and calls his.
What year did you say this came out?
2000.
Really, we were still doing payphones in 2000. I guess we were.
I mean, we definitely were, because I remember years later when you worked at the theater, they had pay machines there.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, fair point.
So they definitely would have them here. But it just made me laugh when I saw them. I was like, payphones. Do kids today even know what a payphone is? Yeah, you didn't used to be able to just carry your phone around with you wherever you wanted to. So when you were out in public and you needed to phone, you had to have these little bits of metal called quarters. And you put the quarter into the payphone, and that would buy you a certain amount of phone time to be able to phone.
If you were smart, you hit 0 when you dialed operator and you phone collect, and then it charged a call to the person you were phoning.
And then if you were even smarter, then they would hang up before collecting calls, star 69 to get the number of the payphone, and just phone back.
It's true. It's true.
I legitimately, I have memories of my mom doing that at said theater. Funny enough,
I did it when I went to Whistler once.
But yeah, over the course of the movie, things go wrong. The kids are trying to find out who the Phantom of the Megaplex is, and there's a bunch of different suspects. It's a mystery. And then, spoiler alert, the senior manager who disappeared 3 times, it was him. It was him all along. He did it because he wanted Mr. I'm going to actually look at what his name is. Mr.
Was it Agatha all along?
No. No, it wasn't.
It was Agatha all along.
I can't find it.
It was Agatha all along. Who's
Anyways,
been messing up every
Niedermeyer. That was it. Niedermeyer. The guy wanted the senior manager wanted Niedermeyer to notice him because Niedermeyer was going to make some other guy the regional manager, and our person wasn't happy about that. And yeah, it's fine. It's definitely a Disney Channel original movie. It feels like a Disney Channel original movie. This doesn't really feel. I mean, I suppose you could have put this one on the theater, like on the big screen.
With a name like Phantom of the Megaplex, there's no way.
It just doesn't really feel. It very much. Halloween Town.
Yes.
That's the like it's that level of energy.
That makes sense.
Halloween Town 2, I would say, is really the budget level that this got.
I remember. That's what I remember. I remember it being cheap.
Cheap. You know, it was fun. It wasn't a bad one. It wasn't the worst thing I watched this week. I don't know what the worst one I watched this week was. I'd have to think about that.
None of them sounded explicitly bad.
They weren't.
Jordan, some of mine sound bad?
I mean, one of them definitely sounds offensive.
So.
That's Phantom of the Megaplex for you, though, baby. That is my last one of the week.
So, Jordan, I have a confession to make.
Confession of a teenage drama queen?
Jordan, I lied. I did cheat.
God damn you. How dare you cheat?
I cheated.
It's not like I'm not allowed to judge you for your cheating because I also cheated. I am perfectly viable to judge you for your cheating, you cheating cheaterson.
Jordan, I watched a movie called Starstruck from 2010, and I think I discovered. I'm excited to come back to this topic because I want to talk about some modern Disney Channel original movies, because my number one immediate first observation about this movie is it is lazy. It is so lazy. It was by far the shortest I watched. Google is saying it's an hour and a half, but it's not an hour and a half. It was like an hour and 20, and it's a vehicle for I forget his name. Sterling Knight, the guy from Sunny with a Chance. He was Sunny with a Chance's boyfriend on Sunny with a Chance.
Yes, he was. Sorry, I was suggesting you.
And then that's where I'm like, these movies feel like at a certain point they went to Sunny with a Chance and we're like, hey, because his best friend is in the movie is also on Sunny with a Chance.
Oh yeah.
And the plot of this is he is a rock star who is trying to get a deal with a producer to be in a movie, and he accidentally bumps this girl's head, and he's trying to hide from the paparazzi, who are like this omnipresent, omniscient group of people in black vans, like tinted black vans, that just know where he is instantly at all times and will just show up. And it's him and this girl, and they fall in love as he like takes her around Los Angeles trying to get away from the paparazzi. And I
just remember that the big point of it is that she won't treat him like he's famous, and she treats him like he's It's very much like Jake Ryan from Hannah Montana, where it's like she just treats him like a normal person, and he's into that.
Yeah, except for she's not a celebrity; she's just a regular person. And no, he's not into that. That's the whole bit. The whole bit is, well, he is kind of into that, but initially she's just mean to him for no reason. Like he's being nice to her. And trying to help her, trying to be nice, trying to be polite, whatever. And she's just mean, like just mean. The other thing about this is he doesn't do any of the singing. Well, he does. That's not true. He sings one song. He sings the title song, Starstruck, but he doesn't sing any of the rest of the songs. But the person they have vocal singing for him doesn't sound anything like him. And the one song cheap. They have that he does sing opens the movie. So it's really distracting when the next song doesn't sound anything like him, and it's not like it's layered over top or it's a needle drop. No, it's supposed to be in the movie. He's performing these songs, and now he sounds completely different. It completely pulled me out of the movie. And the excuse was, he was cast later in the production of the movie, so he didn't have time to learn the lyrics. But I'm like, yeah, but he clearly in the scene is lip syncing to them and clearly knows them, like enough to pretend to lip sync them. So in the production, just have him do voiceover and then cut away from the points where he doesn't know it on camera, but at least have him record the songs in post. The movie doesn't have enough meat because it's so short, so it just kind of skips over parts of the character arcs that these characters have, and it doesn't have enough movie to get through the movie, so he sings the same song twice. So he sings the song called it's like Superhero or something. He sings it once, the entire song acoustically, and then it goes through the movie and it cuts back and he's now in the studio with the band and it sings the entire song again. Entire song again. And I'm like, oh, and by that point, it's just one of those things where it's like a lot of his choices are illogical and just happen because the plot needs them to. And the performance, it's just, again, lazy. It feels lazy. This is what Disney Channel movies, like, in my memory, are. Like, half-assed. We got these guys to agree to do it a day on the set of their show. And, like, we filmed in 3 locations on a dime store budget.
That's where I say I think the ones that you're thinking of, because I do remember that for a lot of them, but those kind of come post 2005.
That's what
like
I'm thinking.
Hatch and Pete, like Dad Napped, like those are all just we've borrowed Mitchell Musso or Emily Osment and used them for a day kind of thing.
Like that they're in they're in this movie so that when they run the commercial for it, they can be like starring Mitchell Musso, Emily Osment. Like that's my and so many of these. This was that. This was like randomly the best friend because the actor who plays him was a rapper. Raps, and so the movie just randomly ends with him doing a rap and the characters kind of look over their shoulder confused, and then it cuts to credits, and over the credits is him performing this rap to a confused audience who didn't know that he could rap.
Yeah, that's one thing that I definitely noticed. Weird. I definitely noticed watching some of these older ones is there's definitely a point where like the nature of what a DCOM is shifts.
Yes, absolutely.
It changes.
In the early 2090s, these had a desire, like as much as I shit on the True Confessions or the Double Team, that's at least feeling like it's trying to be a movie.
They definitely the earlier ones. They really want. I maintain Hallmark. They really want you to think of Hallmark.
Yeah, absolutely.
TV
movie of the week. This is the movie of the week. Yeah, I know exactly. What you mean. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's just what they feel like they're going for, and then later on, I say 2005, 2006 is kind of the shifting point.
High School Musical is kind of the point of like these are shameless.
Around there, yeah. That's when it becomes what you're describing. Yeah, so if we come back and do this again, that's what we will be saying about those later movies.
When we come back to do that, that's probably we'll ask Haley to come stop by, talk about some of these, because I feel at that point she will remember them or have seen some of them. Maybe we'll do another. What are your favorite DCOMs, Haley?
Yeah.
What are your favorite? And then we'll come back. We can come back to it. Because I want to do post 2005. Because my memory of what these are is different. Because that was when I was 13, 14, 15. And I was like, these are when they start to feel lazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the end of the show. So I guess I gotta think of something for next week. I'm thinking maybe another pick a director.
Whoa, that was weird. Anyways, next week we're gonna be doing some real science fiction-y bullshit. So you can check us out on all the socials. There's itsjustinbusiness.com. If we were in an alternate universe, that's what it would be. There's TikTok, Spur the Moment, P. There's if you want to hit us up, there's Discord. There's I'm one of us does Twitch.
I
I do Minecraft Monday, Zethgore 187 every Monday. It's Zethgore. I may sound different on those weeks, but that's me. It's me. It's definitely me, and no one else.
And thanks again for this week's sponsor, whatever it was. You know,
probably Audible. Probably
Audible. It might be Audible. It might be something else.
It might be Audible.
Did I miss anything? We have the TikTok. We have the Discord. Oh, we have the Patreon. If you want to give us money for coffee, which is that's a thing. It'll be in the link in the description below. I'm sure the gods will make sure that happens. Goodbye, everybody.
See you next week.